Well, that was the end of the national anthem, and now we are also good to go live on YouTube. Just about 3 minutes to go before game time. We are just about ready to pass it off to Daniel Thompson and Grace Boyles for the first half. Any last thoughts, Nate?
Nothing big. I expect this Michigan team to come out here firing, and really it's going to be interesting to see if they come out here wanting to be on offense or defense, because we know if they get behind here, they may have trouble, in the passing game here trying to play catch up. But all in all, hoping for a good game, passing it on over to Daniel Thompson now.
Thank you, Nate, and thank you, Alex, for our pregame show. It is Daniel Thompson here now alongside Grace Boyles, and we are just 3 minutes away from kickoff here. Thank you for tuning in to 88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor's broadcast of the 5th-ranked Michigan Wolverines facing the 14th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. We had 8 weeks of play to see how the College Football Playoff Committee thought of these two teams. We have these initial rankings, and now both teams are presented with a big opportunity to get a big win against a highly ranked opponent and improve their impression. What do you think is on the line here, Grace, for these two teams?
I think this is huge for Michigan, especially coming out being number 5 in the first playoff rankings, as you just said, Daniel. And the East Division in the Big Ten is a very competitive place. I think that's where the competition, that's where it will be decided who from the Big Ten goes to the playoffs. So really every game for Michigan and Penn State really matters, and how the rest of the Big Ten plays. I know that Nebraska and Ohio State had a very close game at the end of it. So Penn State really they have a loss to Ohio State and also a loss to Michigan State, so that definitely doesn't bode well for them. So they really need to take it to Michigan, especially with Michigan's renowned defense. If they can run over Michigan's defense, that would be a real statement after all the praise that Michigan has gotten.
Penn State has lost 2 games, but they still need to impress the committee. The committee determines who goes to the New Year's Six Bowls, and Penn State is very much in the running for those. Even with the loss, that wouldn't totally kill off their chances. But this is a huge game if they want to make a New Year's Six Bowl. They did beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl a year ago. Not Oklahoma, rather. Michigan has won the coin toss and elected to defer. Penn State, who did beat Washington, rather, in the Fiesta Bowl last year. So they would like to at least repeat that success from a year ago. They did lose only 2 games last year in back-to-back weeks. Much like this year, they've only lost twice, losing in back-to-back weeks. Huge statement if they can get it. Michigan, however, has even more on the line, of course, being the front runner for a playoff spot out of the Big Ten East, which, as you mentioned, is the most competitive division in the Big Ten.
Absolutely, Daniel. And this is a part of what Chase Winovich has coined as the revenge tour. Indeed. For the Michigan Wolverines. This is the second state in their 3-state tour. They just defeated Michigan State 2 weeks ago. They had Michigan is coming off of a bye week, and then they have Ohio State at the last game of the season. So Penn State's really right in the middle there, and they have this stretch of really hard games against tough competitive opponents.
Indeed, Michigan has done well. They survived the first 2 stages of a 3-headed monster against Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Penn State over a 1-month span. Won the first 2 in flying colors, 25-point victory over Wisconsin, and then a 14-point victory in East Lansing. Now they are home in the home stretch of this run. They can beat the 14th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. They will be 2 wins against presumably ranked opponents away from likely securing a Big Ten championship and a playoff spot. Jake Moody is back to kick it off. The crowd is waving what appears to be maize towels, a little bit like the Pittsburgh Steelers' terrible towels. It looks like every student has one. Jake Moody about to get this underway. KJ Hamler back deep to return. He has been one of the most explosive players on this Penn State team. This looks to be a good kick, though. Hamler's backpedaling and lets that ball fly over his head, takes a hop and lands into the stands. It will be a touchback. Penn State ball at the 25 to start this drive.
And Daniel, letting those kicks go, having those long kickoffs are really going to be key for Michigan, because Penn State has those explosive runners. They traditionally have, especially last year with Saquon Barkley, now on the New York Giants, first round draft pick. And So they are really helping with the run game. They're really known for that. So that's going to be something that Michigan wants to contain as much as possible.
Important development. Rashawn Gary is on the field here as Trace McSorley's in the shotgun, fakes a handoff and throws, finds a man. That's Pat Fryermuth, who does get the reception and is tackled by Josh Metellus to the 48. Big first play for Penn State, who got off to a really hot start in State College a year ago when they faced the Wolverines. On the second play from scrimmage, Saquon Barkley took a 69-yard rush to the house. It's now 50 yards to pay dirt for McSorley. Standing in the shotgun again, looks back toward the sideline now. James Franklin wants to change this play call up. Penn State recollects now. Miles Sanders moves out to the right of McSorley, a 5-star back himself. Now takes the handoff and runs right into, looks like Devin Gill is right there to make the tackle. That'll be a 0-yard gain on the play.
Daniel, this offensive line for Penn State is not holding up against this defensive line from Michigan. On that first play, McSorley only got the ball out within milliseconds before Rashawn had him on the ground. This is going to be a long game for that offensive line.
Brian Monet and Devin Gill in on the tackle there to set up 2nd and 10. Miles Sanders is trying to fill a huge hole in Saquon Barkley, one of the better running backs in college football over the 21st century, really. Miles Sanders himself was the 5-star, but has a hefty build to live up to. McSorley looking to pass and is taken down by Chase Winovich. That'll bring up 3rd and long, and it will cause the crowd here in the Big House to erupt. 100,000 strong celebrating as Chase Winovich comes up with a huge sack, establishing 3rd and 16 from their own 44-yard line for the Nittany Lions.
Daniel, that was huge for Chase Winovich. Earlier, he had said to BTN reporter Michelle McMahon that he wants a healthy Trace McSorley so he can win against a very good Penn State team, and he is taking it to them now.
Empty backfield now for Trace McSorley. 5 receivers out wide. Penn State loves to run 3 receivers, a tight end, and 1 running back. Now Miles Sanders comes in motion right to the side of Trace McSorley. McSorley drops back, is already under pressure, and Josh Uche drops him. Penn State had about 1 second to get that ball out of the way. On 3rd and 16, the ball is not going to come out that quick. The O-line has to block better for Trace McSorley. He has no hope to complete a pass on 3rd and 16 when Josh Uche is in the backfield. Quicker than I can really announce that Trace McSorley is back to pass.
Absolutely, Daniel. And McSorley is a mobile quarterback. He can scramble and everything. He doesn't even have time to do that with this Michigan defense. And
right,
it's spread across the board. There's multiple defenders that can get him.
Right, you are. McSorley is an incredibly gifted athlete, but he has had no room to escape the pocket at all, as there have been multiple Michigan pass rushers breaking in on every passing play. It's now 4th and 24 from their own 36, and there's going to be a delay of game. No, a false start called against the Penn State line. No, a timeout was called just in time. So Penn State will avoid a disaster right there, but they have to burn a timeout early. You never want to do that. And one really big development of those 2 sacks is that it looked like even if Penn State couldn't score, they would at least flip field on the first drive, which is really important to do against this Michigan defense. They do not allow yards much at all. The first play goes for 25 yards, and Penn State's in great shape. They lose over half of that back on consecutive sacks, and that really flips the field back in Michigan's favor. They're going to get, in all likelihood, field position better than a touchback, probably in the 30 to 40-yard after this punt finally gets underway for Penn State.
Yeah, Daniel, Penn State's offensive line is going to have to come up with a better system going forward to hold up against that Michigan defense. They on Rashawn Gary, then they have through, or then they have Josh. There's just too many people, too many players on Michigan's defense that are able to get through that line and back.
Right, but 0.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor, we give you this whole game commercial free. So we will keep you updated. Both teams on the sidelines right now. The Michigan going to be given a pretty good opportunity. They're not going to have bad field position, that's for sure, barring a fantastic punt from Penn State's Joseph Petrino. What do you think the Michigan offense has in store for us on the first drive? It's been a criticism of them that they kind of get out of super original play calling.
I would say that's right, Daniel. But in a few games, I believe Harbaugh has really opened up the more faith into Shea Patterson, Michigan's quarterback. He lets him do a little bit more of what he has been known to do. He runs. He's been amazing in his past few games. Harbaugh even has his quarterbacks, Joe Milton, when he comes in and do that when they come in. So he's really been letting, I think, the quarterbacks do a little bit more. The run game's always on Higdon, but also throw a great ball. So when he gets it to the tight ends like Gentry, or he can get it to slots. Donovan Peoples-Jones, of course, is always very athletic and is able to dodge defense. I think that's great.
Karan Higdon is currently riding a 7-game streak of 100 or more yards. If he can keep that up, Michigan will be in great position. This Penn State defense has been a little bit disrespected in the past couple weeks. They did give up 554 total offensive yards to Indiana last week. They're not a bad defensive unit. They're playmakers. So this will be a challenge for the Michigan offense. It's really strength versus strength. That's Michigan is best known for their defense, which arguably is the best in college football. Its offense is one of the better units out there. But Neffens can do, as the punt is underway, end over end, takes a hop, kind of back, rolls across, looks right on the 24-yard line. So a good punt for Penn ends up netting 40 yards. And it will be 1st and 10 for right inside.
Daniel, that ended up being a good punt. It had a good roll to it, but Penn State really has to help themselves out there. Those punts good and make sure that they put Michigan back as far as possible.
This is a really solid Michigan offense, unlike a year ago. Certainly the defense is the better of the two units, but Penn State is going to have to help out there, want to keep it competitive for their offense. It looks like Shea Patterson is under center right now with Karan Higdon, the lone back, and at his own 17. It is a give to Karan Higdon, who has to fight for a 1-yard gain.
I think that was exactly what you brought up. They start off a little slow. The Wolverines start off a little slow. Do something conservative, like handing it off to Higdon. They could make a bigger splash. They have the talent to do that.
So Shea Patterson formation, Nico Collins and Donovan Peoples-Jones out wide to his right. We haven't seen Tariq Black yet today. He did play 1 snap against the gift to Karan Higdon, who has some room and is able to fight forward to just barely make the first down. It will be a new set of downs for the Michigan Wolverines. Koa Farmer in on the tackle, but after Karan Higdon had gained 10 yards. That'll bring up 1st and 10. Wolverines offense is rolling for the time being. 2 carries, 11 yards for Karan Higdon, who takes this one too. Goes up the middle. He has some room to run. Crosses the 50 to the 40. He has one man to beat across the 25 to 20, and is rushing from Nick Scott. An electrifying performance so far from Karan Higdon. All 3 plays from the Michigan offense have gone directly there with each successive carry. The Michigan Wolverines are already in the red zone. 1st and 10 from the 15. A fantastic 50-yard run from Karan Higdon. He's already 61% 100-yard mark. Looks like he'll hit it again for the 8th consecutive game. Michigan getting right back at it now in the shotgun formation. Back. It's a large set here, multiple tight ends in. Karan Higdon keeps it, has a whole yard gain. Chris Evans actually came in for that one. Gives teammate Karan Higdon a break and gets his first 4 yards of the game. So 2nd and 6. The Wolverines have had a couple issues in the red zone, but they've improved as the season has gone on. Last year, that was their offense. Chris Evans remains. Still no Tariq Black yet in this one. We'd expect limited from injury, but he did play 2 weeks ago. Shea Patterson takes the snap and hands off around the outside. Doesn't have much room to go forward, and ends up having to take gain to bring up 3rd and 4. Here on a Jan Johnson in on the tackle. So Grace, do you think it's time to do that here on the line?
It did. Harbaugh just sent in his tight ends. if anything, if he's going to pass anywhere, he's tight ends. It looks like it is Gentry and solid, but he also has Karan Higdon in the backfield, and you can't really go wrong with him right now.
The 6'7" Zach Gentry certainly is a great red zone target. They call up Karan Higdon. No, Shea Patterson keeps it, cuts it around the outside, and is able to gain the first down. He had me fooled. Patterson read option has looked a lot better. Progressed. Amani Oriwarie, who is a potential first-round tackle there, a great talented cornerback, but everyone bites on the Shea Patterson keeper, and he ends up getting the first down, first and goal from the 4. Looks like Karan Higdon will remain the running back. From the shotgun formation, out wide. They hand it off. As to pushing forward, is going to be stopped around the 2-yard line. The wall of Penn State defenders finally slow him down. So Michigan went to that reliable play of a Shea Patterson keeper, but now a fan favorite has entered the game. Ben Mason now. What do you think the odds are that he gets a carry here on second 1.5 yard line?
Oh, Daniel, I think it would be crazy not to go to him. He can easily get end zone. Why fool around with a player that can do it?
He had the short rushing touchdown in East Lansing. Can he do it again? It's a huge formation. They hand it off to no. Shea Patterson keeps it, and no one is near him. Shea Patterson is into the end zone for a touchdown. And the crowd here in Ann Arbor is loving it. That's back-to-back pivotal short yardage downs where they a read off, keeps it, runs around the outside, and that time, everyone bit. Shea Patterson could have been gone for another 30 yards if that ball was snapped around midfield.
Daniel, on the other side of the field, it was unbelievable. He's getting really sneaky with that. That's something he's in, and it's really paying off for him.
That might be the best offensive development for the Wolverines all year has become. Quinn Nordine now on the field, who, of course, was at one point committed to Penn State, since he did miss an extra point in his first game against Penn State in-state college last year, was committed to go there. Jim Harbaugh famously now did a sleepover at his house and was able to get the flip and get the highest rated recruits ever for a field goal kicker, make the switch and sign up for the Wolverines. Might have been regretting that choice after last year, the way Michigan last year. Not so much this year. Dots to the eye, makes it 7-0 for the Wolverines. Are there any complaints you can think of for the Wolverines after that drive?
No, they're able to get it done, and that's usually and like you did say earlier, they have had a problem in the red zone. They're able to march down the field, but not be able to in the end zone. But they have. I think the play calling has developed incredibly since. But also, I think that does come with the confidence. That the coaches have in Shea Patterson in his decision making, but also this is the most solid quarterback that Michigan has had in a while. I mean, Shea Patterson was a 5-star coming out of high school. He had a lot of hype around him. Really demonstrated that. I think the first half of the season he was still getting just very reasonable and understandable. It's a complicated system. There's a lot. It's Michigan football on top of all of that. But he's been able to adjust, and he's even been able to adjust. He had with Tariq Black out, because always, when a quarterback loses some of its receivers that he's used to, that's always a developing thing as well.
No Tariq Black, no problem on that drive. In fact, not one attempted pass on that drive. A 76-yard touchdown drive that went for 7 plays, actually. Can't think of the last time I've seen a 7-play, 76-yard drive without a single passing attempt. That was something.
No penalty, very clean drive day. Really impressed by the Wolverines that come out here and do that against Penn State. And it wasn't what I was expecting for Michigan to air it out a little. I expect them to run working for them, especially with those sneaky handoffs now. But I wasn't expecting them to go with maybe a run, because that is basically what Penn State does as well, and they have great defense for that. They have, so the fact that they didn't air it out was, but that could be developing later in the game.
Adage goes, when you can happen and two of them are bad. Football offenses in college and pro for a long time have been moving toward the passing game, but Michigan really brings a blast. So that's been a bit of criticism nationally. Some other teams in the Big Ten maybe been jealous of this running game, have said that Michigan isn't really prepared for the future. This team can run the offense. Right now it looks wonderful. And with 8:12 to go, as Jake Moody restarts play with is going toward the middle of the end zone, and KJ Hill will wisely not return that one. That one landed right in the mid-south end zone. Easy call for Penn State. They're going to now come out for first and 10. First play went well on their last drive, and then it was all moving backward. What do you think Penn State should do differently here?
I think they need to have, I think Chase McCorley able to be a little bit more mobile, but the offensive line needs to give him just a little bit more time to do that.
Trace McSorley is their second leading rusher on the season for the Nittany Lions, but right now he cannot go anywhere. And sacks do count against quarterbacks in college football for their rushing totals, so that really says something despite the fact that he's absorbing sacks. And now they move into the Wildcat. Miles Sanders takes the snap, but not before Jim Harbaugh takes the timeout, it would appear. No, a delay of game is called against the Nittany Lions, and that is really just embarrassing. When you bring out a fancy formation but can't even get the tip to your hand a bit what you had up your sleeve, really embarrassing there for the Nittany Lions, who can't even run a play from the Wildcat formation.
I can see what Penn State's trying to do, though. They just want to get the ball in the hands of Miles Sanders because they don't even have the time to do that anymore.
First and 15 now. Trace McSorley calls an audible. Miles Sanders is now back in the Wildcat formation. They get this snap off. He keeps it and can muscle forward for about 5 yards, bringing them back to the original line of in 10 now. So much ado about nothing there for the Wildcat formation. Cost them 5 yards through delay of game, then they regain those 5 yards back on the same play.
But beyond that, something, if this is their way to work around the small amount of time that they have back in the backfield, it could work.
Penn State does have to get creative with this fantastic Michigan defensive line. McSorley in the shotgun formation, holds it and fires to a man downfield. The ball came flying out of his hands and went right into the hands of a Michigan defensive back. It was Devin interception. He doesn't get too many opportunities to get those. I think his first on the year. In the end, he drops that one, was a bit caught off guard. It was securely in the hands of Brandon Polk. Out. We'll bring up 3rd and 11 here, a pivotal 3rd and long. 4 down, a 5-wide formation. They really only run out of the shotgun, but they normally have Miles Sanders in the backfield. He is now lined up as a wideout. Snap is underway. Be drawn. He has some room in front of him. Slides for what might be the first down. They're going to have to look at this one, but the initial spot is that he did not get it. Of course, that play brings some flashbacks from a 3rd and 21 in state where Brandon Wimbush kept it on 3rd and 21, QB draw, got the first down. The referees convened. McSorley did not get it. It will be 4th and 1, and the punt field. So Wolverines catch a break. Really just did not quite have enough green grass in front of him. Had to slide right before the sticks. Gillikin's punt is underway, and it is fair caught by Donovan Peoples-Jones yard line. So, as you've mentioned many times now, Grace, McSorley really wanted to get involved in that running game. They finally give him a chance, and he is getting that first down.
But anything, Daniel, that was a successful series for Penn State there. That Wildcat play worked. You're getting the ball just right away because Trace McSorley doesn't have the time to get it to him, and Penn State able to make a hole as the Michigan defenders were to the sideline, the wrong sideline, and he was able to get through there. And he's fast once he kind of gets past that, he really can break through. I also think it was interesting that they tried play in there too. That it's just not super possible with secondary, including you have David Long out there, and you got Josh Mata. I mean, it's hard. That's a great secondary. So they really everything and fit for like where they're gonna go next.
Trace McSorley, who really does not like to go through his reads. If the first look is there, he likes to take off. When you're going up against such great cornerbacks and safeties, it's really for a guy like Trace McSorley to find anyone open. He found Pat Fryermuth on the very first play and has had nothing since. That was their only play since that initial. That was, yeah, second positive play since the Pat Fryermuth reception. Second positive play since. And Michigan now is going to have 61 yards to go, 71 actually. Not great field position, but they sure looked fine going 76 yards on the last drive. It'll be 5 yards easier this time. What can Penn State do to try to limit this Michigan running game and at least force a pass?
You know, Daniel, they're going to have to put Michigan's probably weakest point is going to be on their offense. It's going to be their offensive line. So you have to tire them out, and you just really got to beat them. You got to put your hands up and fill those holes that they're making for Karan Higdon. Karan Higdon, a lot of his plays are up the middle, sometimes cutting to the outer edge, but Penn State's defensive line really has to be able to just outpower the Michigan's offensive line. It's their weak spot.
It certainly has been, particularly the tackle now. Jawan Bishop-Beatty and John Runyon have both looked better as the season has gone on, but that's where really the strength of the Penn State defense is. 3 of their better players are all on the defensive line, including Yetur Gross-Matos, who is phenomenal all year long, the true sophomore. He might be the difference maker for this team. Now, Penn State is just desperately looking to try to force the Wolverines, and even if they can make that happen, Michigan has some great receivers out, really make them pay. So it's going to be a really long uphill climb here for the Penn State defense. It's an empty look right now, so maybe the Wolverines are decided to pass even after how well last drive. Gentry now comes in motion. Still an empty backfield for Shea Patterson. Throws to Gentry, who has green grass in front of him. Gets out to the 42 for a 13-yard gain. Well, so they can't stop the pass. They can't stop the run. It's a bit of a rock and a hard place situation here for the Nittany Lions. Gentry, the receiver, now comes off. Chris Evans is the lone back behind Shea Patterson, who is back to where he normally is, right under center. 1st and 10 with 6:24 to Kentucky is trailing 7-0. Just read the scoreboard. Shea Patterson hands it off to Chris Evans. Fights forward for 1 yard. Michigan, rather, was really early here as the Wolverines bring in some substitutions. Tariq Black is coming onto the field, as you were eager to note there, Grace. First time we've seen him, he had one against Michigan State in that one. It'll be interesting to see what he does here. He is boundary. Under center again, it looks like a running formation for the Wolverines with Karan Higdon back in the game. 2nd and 9 from their own 41. They send Donovan Peoples-Jones in motion. They fake the handoff and give it to Karan Higdon, who spurts forward for maybe 3 yards. That will bring up 3rd and long.
Daniel, you're right. I was very eager to tell you that Tariq Black was going in, and he is staying in as well. They had, it looks like Black is staying in. It's because no one's been able to see really his full potential. He got injured last year. Was at the beginning of Michigan's schedule. So a lot of promise and a potential, and it will be exciting to watch him as
Michigan is 1 for 1 on 3rd down. Shea Peoples-Jones for a medium gain to pick up the first. That'll go, and more importantly, a Michigan 1st down. Cam Brown, the linebacker, in on the coverage, and that's really the mismatch Michigan wants to force. When they can get a guy in Peoples-Jones guarded by a linebacker, Shea Patterson knows that's where to put the ball. That'll bring up now on the Penn State side of the field. Michigan has ran most of their offensive plays from this half of the very tight formation right now with Karan Higdon, the lone back. 2 tight end set. They fake the handoff to Higdon, fake to Black, and then they throw a screen pass that is just over Karan Higdon's head. He had Ben Bredesen and Cesar Ruiz as lead blockers, but Patterson could not quite find Karan Higdon to get his first incompletion of the day.
And Daniel, that's something that I would be worried about. Maybe Shea Patterson's getting a little too confident in his abilities to make these kind of gunslinger plays, a very Brett Favre, he can't throw off his back foot like that and just toss it up, assuming that it's going to be taken, or that his teammate's going to get it.
Yeah, you or I could have probably made that pass if we took the time to collect ourselves. That looked like it could have been a promising play. To Karan Higdon again, who has the hole and is able to march forward for about a 5-yard gain, bringing up 3rd and medium yet again. The Wolverines have looked 2 for 2. That ball is going to be 42-yard line. That brings up. So Grace will do here. Will they keep it on the ground or go to the air on 3rd?
I'd say it will be a short slant pass. Maybe Grant Perry. They also out there. I mean, it really worked well for Donovan Peoples-Jones. That was like, a 5-yard gain there. Even though he's usually a wide receiver and he goes downfield more. So I think that works for them.
Shea Patterson is in, but looks like Jim Harbaugh called timeout right before as the side judge comes sprinting his whistle. Michigan decided they wanted more time to look at that one. And that's a fair call. Michigan's a bit in no man's land right here. If they were not to pick up the first down, it would be a tough call whether to go for it or punt, depending on if they could gain any yards. Would you call this 4-down territory?
I wouldn't yet. Especially, I think you could throw Quinn Nordine in there and get a field goal. He has been a little iffy lately, missing a couple keys. I know against Michigan State, he had one that people, I think, ducked. It curved left, and it was horrible. But I would not call this 4th down territory, just because it looked like Penn State was kind of starting to get into an their last offensive series.
Well, Michigan hopes to not have to answer that question as they come in a single back formation. Shea Patterson in the shotgun. Ben Mason is the back. Higdon or Chris Evans. 3:45 to go in the first. They hand it off to Ben Mason, who's trying to move forward, but it looks like Penn State had about a 1.5-yard gain. 4th and 2 from the 40-yard line. So now it's decision time for the Wolverines. If I put myself in Jim Harbaugh's shoes, I would be a bit afraid that not getting the first down here could put some air into Penn State's lungs, give them a hope, but the offense has stayed on the field, so Michigan does look like they're going to go for it.
It has, and Harbaugh has sent in all his big tight ends. That was hard for me.
Indeed,
Gentry and Karan Higdon.
Gentry and McCune both on the right side as Karan Higdon now is shotgun formation. Patterson drops back to throw and all falls incomplete. Penn State will take over from the Michigan other 40-yard line. So, the target was Zach Gentry, but he never had a chance to catch it as a Penn State.
If I was Jim Harbaugh, I'd not be very, very happy with that series. Shea Patterson getting a little risky there. His tight ends not being free. That was not very successful for them.
So Penn State with their best field position of the game by 15 yards. They really want to get back in this one with a score. In the shotgun formation, as always, it's Trace McSorley who looks to throw, fires downfield, and has a man for the first down. Like he found a receiver. We can't identify him quite yet. A much-needed first down that puts the ball in Michigan territory for the first time. They got to the 50, ran 2 plays from right at midfield. They're going to run their first play from Jahan Dotson. Got the reception, going deep into their depth chart. Empty back formation right now. 5 wide. McSorley drops back, is already running for his life, but he has a corner around the outside. Carlo Kempis chasing him and escorts him out of bounds for a 2-yard gain. So Michigan limits the damage there. Trace McSorley to make a gain out of what would have resulted in a sack or throwing the ball away for a lot of quarterbacks. But he lives to fight another day and gets the 2 yards to make it 2nd and 8. Shotgun formation again with Ricky Slade now in at running. McSorley talks to his offensive line. Everyone is standing to the left of McSorley, no one on the right toward the boundary. They hand it off to Slade, who has nowhere to go, but is off one of his linemen and get forward for that will bring up 3rd and short. It's going to be a pivotal 3rd down for the Wolverines, who actually brought in back Stevens to run that one. I knew this team liked to run their quarterbacks, but that was really taking it to a new level. One key, another. So, 3rd and 4, empty formation right now for the Nittany Lions. They ruled Stevens down a bit earlier than I had thought. Be careful for the run, and QB draw would be a very popular play right now. McSorley looks to pass, though, fires downfield, and that's really way over the head of the intended receiver. So that will bring up now decision Lions. They're right about where Michigan opted to go for it on 4th drive, but they're going to bring their punting unit onto the field. So Michigan survives really the first test of this defense. Now takes the field standing at the 10-yard. He hasn't had a chance to return it yet. We'll see what he can. Penn State would be eager to kind of slow down this Michigan offense by pinning them. And Kins' punt is away. End over end. Donovan Peoples-Jones calls off a good bounce at the 3 and sails out of bounds right around. The referee spots the ball going out at the 5. So it's going to be a 95-yard field for the Nittany Lions to defend. What do you think the Michigan offense can draw up here to success of the previous drive rather than the second? If
you're obviously Karan Higdon's a good go-to, and he just seemed to run over Penn. It's taking Penn State to get into a groove a little, which Wolverines understand usually.
Didn't start off slow today, though, up 7-0 with 1 minute to go in the first quarter. Patterson standing on the goal line, hands it off to Karan Higdon, who doesn't have much space but makes the most of it, gets a 3-yard gain on the tackle. That brings up 2nd and 7. 56 seconds and counting to go in the first half. Wolverines lead 7-0. We're listening to 88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor. We will probably plays here in the first quarter that's gone well for the Wolverines, but could have gone better. They are dominating total yards, but they elected to go for it on 4th down, did not pick it up. Penn State punted, and that really is flip field. Karan Higdon, the lone back, Patterson's left in the shotgun form again. Has some room on the outside, and he falls down right around the chains. It looks like they're going to get now, has given themselves some breathing room. So do you think Michigan's going to stick with the run more, given how well that worked?
Don't fix something that's not broken. Good, and Karan Higdon, as we just saw, is able to dodge these defenders, get through them. He's a bowling ball. He's able to get just take on those defenders. I wouldn't change any of those reads. Run it, because that's been successful as well.
So that first down ends the half. Michigan elects to not run another play. 7-0. The Wolverines lead in what we could certainly classify as a successful quarter for the Wolverines. They will take over now on the 21 on the other side of the field. Still have 79 yards to go. What does Penn State need to change in the second quarter to get back in this one?
To get back, oh man, their offense has been rough. It was a little better in that last series. It's just really one game without an offense. You know, your best defense is always a really great offense, as I truly do believe. You know, Michigan, they have an amazing defense, but until their offense started clicking, and it really didn't mean anything because you have to have points on the board to win. So the Nittany Lions may be able to hold Michigan every now and then and again, but they need to get points on the board. At least get back down into Michigan territory, possibly for a field goal of that potential. So really have to get something working. Really run it more. I think Michigan's defensive line, Carlo Kemp, Rashawn Gary, Chase Winovich is all over McSorley. They're putting too much pressure on him, and he's not making the right reads for passes, as we saw in that last play of their last offensive series. He just really overthrew his defender. It was in the right general area, but it was not happening. And so I think Trace McSorley's not doing well with those reads under pressure, and he's going to be getting pressure all night. So faster with his feet, then let him run.
McSorley has been put on the ground twice this evening, tackled on back-to-back plays by Chase Winovich and Josh Uche.
It has not happened since, though.
No.
That's a rough come out here into the big house, which is packed today, actually. Tons of Penn State people. Town Ann Arbor has been crazy. But that's a rough way to start a game on your back in the first offensive series twice. So that's a rough way to start it. And but he hasn't been back there since. I think that Penn State learning slowly. They tried the wildcat position for Miles Sanders, and that worked for. I think that could possibly work. Penn State is known for their running, and Miles Sanders is a 5-star coming out of high school. He came to Penn State knowing that Saquon Barkley was going to be ahead of him. James Franklin was very forward with him about that, and he's been able to be mentored by Saquon, and so I'm sure he's eager to make a name for himself too. But I mean, he's got that teaching under his belt, so I want to see that manifest into something.
So Karan Higdon ran for 83 yards in the first quarter alone. That puts him 17 away from that 100 mark. That puts him within 86 of eclipsing 1,000 on the season. He's never done that, and he mentioned he was very close to that last year, and that was one of the reasons why he came back to play another season of college football. It's because he wanted to get that 1,000-yard mark, and he's 142 yards away from 2,500 in his career. If he keeps, he could actually get to 2,500 in this game. Higdon all alone in the action. Now Shea Patterson has time to throw downfield, and Nico Collins has to slow down, but does catch the ball for a huge gain for the Wolverines. That's going to flip the field from the Michigan 21, Penn State 35-yard line. Nick Scott in on the tackle. Shea Patterson threw that just a bit underneath him. That he would have been gone for the touchdown otherwise. And that, for one time a game, they can pull out Nick for a huge gain.
Yeah, absolutely. That Donovan Peoples-Jones and Tariq Black, that wide receiver class they're very athletic.
When Nico Collins is the least hyped receiver of the bunch, single back formation now with Karan Higdon as makes the handoff this time and doesn't have much room, but carries a couple Penn State defenders with him and turns that into a 6-yard gain, bringing him even closer to that 100-yard and 1,000 for the season. He has really been a brains and continues to improve his NFL resume. Staying back, certainly it looks like it's going to pay off for him. 2nd and 4 now from the 31. 13:53 to go in this one. Wolverines lead by 7 and are all range. Shea Patterson under center. Sends with Karan Higdon as the look. They're looking to throw. Karan and Patterson ends up keeping it. Doesn't really go anywhere. Can maybe make a half-yard gain out of it. So we're back to 3rd down. The Wolverines downs. What do you think they'll draw? Keep the offense rolling. Field goal range.
Sent in Oliver Martin and do a quick slant to get those few yards.
Looks to be a receiving unit, but they hand it off to Karan Higdon, who is going hit immediately in the backfield for a loss. Looked like Robert Windsor was in there for the tackle, and that's going to really kill the drive. You'd imagine we'd see Quinn Nordine now, who has had his struggles on the years, 11 for 15 for field goals, 33 for 34. He is taking the field. And as you mentioned, in East Lansing, he had a really ugly kick that, I mean, it landed in the end zone. That's how rough it was.
Prior to the game, he was sitting 46 yard field goals. I mean, he does it with ease in warm-ups. So for him to have that kind of kick in East Lansing was incredible. It's
a 50-yard attempt, and it is blocked. Penn State has an opportunity to scoop it up. It's a wild goose chase for the ball. The Penn State man has picked it up and is running it back. He has block flag down, but he has space. Will Hart tries to make the tackle, forces him to slow down, but he is gone for the touchdown. Expect this one to come back, but that is a huge swing in Penn State's favor. If this play does in fact stand, Penn State has tied the game. I really doubt it will, though. There were 2 flags on the field. It's right where you would expect called. A third flag actually was thrown right in front of the end zone. But wow, was that a wild play. Blocked, and then the ball kind of spiraled around for a while. Normally when it's blocked, it's picked up by one of the bigger guys who are there on the line. Instead, one of the quicker guys whose job it is to run around the edge and block ends up picking it up, and he has a lot of chance to run for it. Put up a touchdown on the scoreboard yet, because I think everyone in the stadium is going to be called back. Referees are taking a long time. And how does this affect the Wolverines going forward, knowing the inconsistencies they've had in the kicking game?
Just, it makes it so much more important for the Wolverines to put it in the end zone when they are in the red zone. I think that's frustrating. That wears out your guys when you make such a great march down the field and get the points on the board.
So we're going to get the call from the officials. There's still a flag back at the 35-yard line that they have yet to pick up. Talking with them. So we still have no idea. James Franklin has decided to talk to the officials. Gonna get this call, but as it stands right now, there's 12:10 to go in the quarter. You'd expect time to be put back on if this play is called dead. The official is ready to make his announcement now. Is talking to Jim Harbaugh, asking him really which penalty he wants to accept, is what I've gathered. Both head coaches are in discussions with officials. Multiple fouls on the play. There's been an illegal block in the back assessed against Michigan. That penalty is declined. Illegal block in the back against Penn State. No, that one is declined as well. Unsportsmanlike conduct against Michigan. Have it all sorted out now. Penn State, it ends up being a penalty against Michigan. It looks like the return is canceled out by multiple blocks in the back against both teams. It took about 5 minutes to get that sorted out, and deservingly so. I mean, this is a real doozy to sort out. Penn State will take over from the 35-yard line. Should be noted that it's their own 35-yard line they'll start from. I mean, that ball could have been played here in the end zone.
Absolutely. Garrett for Penn State. Nate Lyons picked that up and ran it all the way down to the end zone. He really, and there were just flags everywhere. A lot of that I didn't see, a lot of the unsportsmanlike conduct.
So Michigan now has 171 total yards, just 18 minutes into the game, to Penn State's 40, but they only lead by 7. A couple of gaffes. Every drive they get into Penn State territory, but they haven't been able since that first one. McSorley now in with Sanders to his right. Drops back to throw. He has time and goes for a one-on-one matchup downfield. Metalis breaks up the pass interference.
That's a problem for Josh Metellus there. He really gets in. He gets a lot of penalties, a lot of unsportsmanlike, playing clean. Have him in there for Michigan, especially if Chase McSorley is going to start passing. Pass
interference against Josh Metellus. The referees confirm. That gets Penn State going now. The ball is going to be placed at the 50-yard line, and the Michigan fans don't like it. He turned around, but he did play the ball, and KJ Hamler is a smaller guy, typically used as a slot receiver rather than a Meadows has size on Hamler. Nonetheless, 1st and 10 from the 50. Penn State's last drive stalled out around the 40. We'll see what they can do here. As Miles once again to McSorley's left. They take the snap, hand it off to Sanders, and he fumbles. Chase Winovich falls on that right away, and the Wolverines catch a big break. They're looking a bit tricky for them. There was an issue between McSorley. I'm not sure who was at fault there. It looked like maybe to keep it on an option, but instead yanked the ball out of his hands. And Chase Winovich is a guy who almost always earns every play, is fighting for each one. Right for him there.
Well said, Daniel. Chase Winovich came into this game hungry. His image, his thing. He's always ready to get in there. He wanted Trace McSorley in here healthy so that he could show his stuff, show him. If we're gonna bench, it kind of comes from last year. Defense looked horrible going up against Trace McSorley when he was running all over against Michigan. He was running all defense, and so was Saquon Barkley. So I bet that pride in being able to hold them this year.
Certainly. To the Michigan defense, I think this is the most important stop on the revenge tour. They played very well in last year's regular season.
Absolutely, yeah. This is big for the defense. I think they definitely have a chip on their shoulder coming into this game. There's always a chip on your shoulder. Same with Michigan State. Onion Trophy for Michigan State, and then Ohio State. It's just the game. And a lot of times that ends up on Michigan's offense. So yeah, I think all of the defense has a chip.
And that really goes to show just how difficult the Big Ten East is when Penn State is kind of like the third game, not as important to the 14th team in the country, but they were very amped up about this one. The defense felt personally in college last year. The offense last year that they faced, they lost, but man, did that off anything for the Wolverines like that one.
Absolutely, yeah, and the Wolverines really have to capitalize on this field advantage after their last what is that? A blocked kick, a spot kick when they weren't able to punch it in the end zone. That's what they got to do.
Penn State did buy some good fortune for themselves by blocking the kick. He just threw it all the way. It's going to be Michigan ball starting at the Penn State 48. 1st and 10. There's 11 slow-moving second quarter. But Michigan now is in really good position. I don't know how confident they're going to be in Quinn. Of course, long easier to block. The kicker has to kick him lower to the ground, but it might be hard to trust Quinn Nordine until he makes another field goal. It's been a while. Going back nearly a Munson game.
It's been a while, and it's been a while since he has made one of his famous kind of crazy, what he's known for, just kind of being that wild guy that's able to punch it through the poles.
Quinn can miss one from just about anywhere.
Absolutely, and in any fashion, it seems like.
It really has. In fact, yeah, it hasn't been since Quinn Nordine made a field goal 3 for 5 in that one. The offense now takes the field out of the break. Shea Patterson takes the handoff and gives it to Ben Mason, who rolls over a defensive tackle to gain 2 yards. That was a very Ben Mason run right there.
It was absolutely a very Ben Mason run, but that seemed like an interesting play call. Ben Mason really only gets them in third down situations, 3rd and short, or with a yard to.
Yeah, Ben Mason on 1st and 10 from midfield is a bit peculiar. Works for Higdon now, is the low back, and hands it off to Higdon, who has some room. Hustles his way through would-be tacklers and is taken down at the 40. That will bring up 3rd and 2 now for the Wolverines, and that's maybe more typical Ben territory. He's not on the field, though. Michigan stalled right around here on the last drive, pick up a crucial 3rd down. It'll be interesting to see what they do here last time. 10:55 to go in this one. Big 3rd down that can maybe get some separation on the board for the Wolverines. Higdon in the shotgun formation. They hand it off to Higdon again, who has room this time and carries a man with him across the line to gain. 1st down, Wolverines now are at the 38 for Penn State. So looks like the offense is back to the grind they were on the very first drive. Recommend they haven't thrown it yet. Would you recommend they go back to the
Nico Collins and Donovan Peoples-Jones out there? I don't think you can really go wrong. But now he has Ben Mason in with Karan Higdon. So Jim Harbaugh's head is.
From the shotgun, they fake the play action. Donovan Peoples-Jones, it's a contested ball and he can't quite corral it. The 2nd time now on a deep threat that Shea Patterson underthrew the man a little bit. Grace, I saw you. Donovan Peoples-Jones had his man beat. Looked like he was hands up in the air for signaling touchdown. That was not the case. The ball was just a bit underthrown.
You're right. Donovan Peoples-Jones has his height, length. He's usually able to get over defenders. It looked like he had his hands on that, but it was a little underthrown. Still
a catchable ball, though. John Reed made a good play to swat it away from the breadbasket of Donovan Peoples-Jones. 2nd and 10 now. Had that ball been thrown with a bit more air under it, probably would have been a touchdown. Shea Patterson gets a 2nd chance, though. No, he decides to run with it. Nearly runs into the referee, avoids the collision, and ends up picking up about 5 yards to set up 3rd and 5. That could have had the referee not been in his way.
But I also do feel like Shea Patterson used the referee screen. There he pivoted from one side and turned to the other, maybe avoiding a harsher tackle than the one that he got.
So Wolverines now on a huge 3rd down. They are in field goal range, but they might not be eager to go back to Quinn Nordine. Empty set right here. Shea Patterson might throw on 3 consecutive. Harbaugh calls another timeout. They have 1 left. Half minutes to go in the. So to cap up this drive, it was 3 consecutive resulted in a 1st down, followed by a deep shot to the end zone that was just barely too short for Donovan Peoples-Jones to haul in, and then a designed 2nd deep throw. Instead, Shea Patterson takes off for a 4-yard. We'll have to see what they come up with on 3rd down. It's a media timeout, but there's no media timeouts here on 88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor. We bring you this full game commercial with 9:27 to go in the first half. Michigan in good shape right now, but they have just continued to fail to get that insurance policy score. They now, on all 4 drives, have the Penn State side of the field and can never quite finish it off. Do you think this is the drive? Can they put points on the board again?
I think if they don't here, that's something they really need to look back at their first series, what they did there. You have to give credit to Penn State for adjusting to Michigan's defense. But I think it mostly falls on Michigan for I think they're letting Shea do a little more, airing it out to Donovan Peoples-Jones, who has been a very successful receiver. Only a sophomore, 5-star coming out of high school. He's from Detroit Cass Tech, and so I think they have a little bit more confidence in it. He's an incredible athlete. But I think what is very interesting is Shea Patterson has more rushing yards than Trace McSorley, who is known to be more of a dual threat quarterback there. And it kind of brings you consider Shea Patterson a dual threat quarterback, and that's not usually what Jim Harbaugh likes to have in his offense. He's definitely a pocket passer. He likes those style quarterbacks, Will and Spate, Dylan McCaffrey, though he kind of has wheels too. But so do you think Shea Patterson is sorely at his game?
Well, McSorley, he actually has -5 rushing yards, and that's largely because of the 2 sacks he took for 14 total yards. If you take that away, he does have a little bit more than Shea Patterson's 8, but Shea Patterson has avoided the sacks. He doesn't like to scramble. He is really good at those read option type plays. Good news here, Slippery Rock was just announced 7 against Gannon University. The Slippery Rock, the Rock, are up to 8 in the congratulations to them. The offense now takes the field. Shea Patterson in the shotgun formation. Twin backs behind him, Chris Evans and Ben Mason. There is movement on the line. Could be offside, could be a false start. The referees will sort this one out. Both sides accusing each other of jumping early. Robert Windsor might be the guilty party on Penn State. Here's the call. And they do rule offsides. It is not quite enough to Wolverines a whole lot easier. And really a costly error there for the Nittany Lions, who have struggled to get the Wolverines off the field.
Absolutely. The Nittany Lions need everything to go their way. Penalties are a smart thing to get rid of to help your team out. And it just comes down to discipline.
Really hard to beat a top 5 team on the road when you're committing bad errors like that. 3rd and 2 now, still in the shotgun formation with Karan Higdon now in as the back. 2 receivers out wide. They hand it off to Karan Higdon, who is met right before the line to gain, and it doesn't look like he got it. We'll call that a 1-yard gain on 3rd and 2. That's going to bring up 4th and 1 and decision time again for Jim Harbaugh.
Now, this is when Ben Mason, Michigan's fullback, really shines. If he's not in here, yeah, there we go. There we go. Michigan's sending in Oliver Martin, a slot receiver, Eubanks, and Ben Mason that really can make these short, small plays.
Wolverines are 0 for 1 on huge one here. They could put themselves in great position. They hand it off to Ben Mason, who has room and pushes the pile forward for a Michigan first down. From the 27 upcoming, the Wolverines have the biggest effects of these really long Wolverines is that it really eats up the clock. They are moving the ball by running, not passing, and that really helps burn the clock because the better offense in this game is the Penn State Nittany Lions, and by keeping the ball out of their hands, that really does a service for the Michigan defense.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives them a little time to rest. When you have those quick drives, offensive drive, that
the defense getting even more time to rest now. 1st and 10 from the 26. Shotgun formation, Chris Evans to the right of Patterson. He takes the carry and is able to wiggle out of a potential loss for maybe a 2-yard. Michigan really doing a good job avoiding those negative plays. I can't really think of a loss Wolverines on offense.
I really can't either, and that bodes Michigan overall, obviously, but it says something about their offensive line.
They really have moved forward a lot this year. In South Bend, they've come a long way. Karan Higdon now, the single back behind Shea Patterson. Takes the carry and doesn't really have anywhere to go. Maybe a yard to gain on that one. That brings up 3rd and long from the 24-yard line. So maybe the Wolverines need to get a bit more creative now after 2 short run plays.
Perry looks to be replacing tight end Sean McEwen. The Michigan Wolverines does as much. They had one successful one to Donovan Peoples-Jones, but I think they could really flourish there.
It is 2 bunch formations to either side of the line. Now they bring Grant Perry in motion to the right. So trips to the right now. Nico Collins by himself to the left. Patterson breaks the pocket, throws downfield to Peoples-Jones in the end zone. That's a Michigan touchdown. Donovan Peoples-Jones gets his season, and he does the Saquon Barkley touchdown celebration. I was watching that game last night, and Sammy got into the end zone round, and that is a very deliberate mocking of Saquon Barkley. Peoples-Jones breaks this game open, 13-0 Wolverines.
Has been a little bit more creative with his touchdown dances or poses. 2 weeks ago at Michigan State, he did the Paul Bunyan
Yes,
pose,
he did.
And that he became famous.
I did not catch that one live. Did not realize he was doing the Paul Bunyan.
You know what, me neither.
Quinn Nordin winds up and kicks it through the uprights. He failed to make it 14-14 a year ago. This nothing. Maybe playing with some more confidence given how well his defense has been. And as you mentioned, Donovan Peoples-Jones he's done games.
He's a creative guy. It's smart. Donovan Peoples-Jones does do very well in the classroom here at Michigan, which says a lot. I believe his dad is a surgeon and hopes to pursue a field medical field as well. So that obviously it shows that he's a little creative, smart. He thinks about his touchdown dances. He believes in Shea Patterson that he can throw it to him in the end zone as well.
That's a great point to bring up. He comes from doctor family, has a good in his family. Now, of course, the NFL seems to be beckoning him first. Maybe he can join the medical ranks later. There is one MD currently playing in the NFL on the Kansas City Chiefs, Levy. He applied to get MD on his nameplate. I felt that not let him be MD on his, Chad Ochocinco became Ochocinco, but he couldn't put MD in front of his name.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Daniel, of all things. But they wouldn't put him on there. I would want to show that off if I was playing in the NFL, doing that, but also an MD.
So Donovan Peoples-Jones 14-0. Saquon Barkley to celebrate Michigan's 14-0 lead, and the mood seems to have lightened up here. In nothing, the Wolverines lead. 23-yard reception for the touchdown on third. Really big development. And Peoples-Jones just smoked his cornerback. I believe that was Nick Scott in coverage. He wasn't really near Peoples-Jones, though.
No, it's hard to fan of Donovan Peoples-Jones. Physically, a lot bigger since he's been at Michigan. He enrolled early back in. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm gonna age myself. Because I was a freshman and he was, but he enrolled early back in January. That was a huge class for that was the class of Tariq Black, Nico Collins, who's a big get from Alabama. It's in here a while. Learned the offense, and he is someone who is hard to defend. Tall, definitely not small, and he's fast. I know that many people say he's one of the fastest people on the team, which is really great for.
So Donovan Peoples-Jones now has 2 huge receptions on third down to keep drives going. Well, he ended the touchdown, but now he's had a great year. When Tariq Black went down in the beginning of the season, that was cause for concern for a lot of Michigan fans. But Nico Collins and Donnelly stepped up in his absence. Tariq Black has been on the field in this one, but has yet to be targeted.
He has yet to be targeted. He's hanging out very close to the sidelines, hanging out next to Jim Harbaugh, hoping to get in. He's eager, and it looks like he's ready.
Is now up to 357 receiving yards on the year and 7 touchdowns, eclipsing all of his totals from last receptions as well. Jake Moody gets the game back underway. This one is returnable. No, it's not actually, because it nearly hits a cheerleader on the head on the sideline. That ball goes out of bounds, and it will be good field position for Penn State, who will take.
Those sidelines are a dangerous place to be. Big football players coming your way.
It can be, and at that time, those balls could kick really hurt had that cheerleader not been aware and just stepped out of there.
So, luxuries of being up in the box.
So 6:52 to go, and you are right, it's much safer up here in the box. It looks like they're re-kicking, and that is just staggering to me because Michigan was which results in 5 yards in a re-kick. It seems backward, but that is correct. An offside is committed before the play starts, so the play has to not count for anything. And Jake Moody, who's been really good all year long, gets bailed out. Teammate offside, so Michigan's going to move 5 yards back, and Jake Moody gets a chance to do this all over again. And boy, Penn State today, with their own luck with the blocked field goal and stopping Michigan on 4th down, but no such luck right there. Jake Moot doing leg. He could still make this a touchback from here. KJ Hamler, not KJ Hill of Ohio State, is standing on the goal line. He's going to move forward, though, catch this one around the 6, but is immediately swallowed up the second he gets near a Michigan helmet. That looks like Ben Mason in on the tackle. He really does it all and is maybe a throwback to a simpler time back where football players played every phase of the game and just carried it between the tackles. He comes in and stops what could have been a really good return for KJ Hamler. Instead, puts him on the ground at the 23-yard line, so that was actually worse than a touchback for the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, absolutely, and that play by Ben Mason just speaks. Just like I love football, I love hitting people.
He got to do what he loves right there. 6:46 to go in this one. Penn State could use a score to get back in it. Trace McSorley at the last second pulls it away from Miles Sanders, but doesn't have that. Might go down as a 1-yard loss. And boy, Penn State needs an answer. Chase Winovich was, I believe that was designed to be a handoff to Miles Sanders, but Chase Winovich was in the backfield so quickly, McSorley just had to tuck it and run. 2nd and 11 now. Having a rough day. Hands it off to Miles Sanders this time. Anywhere to go. Gets past one defender, but Devin Bush takes him down for a 3-yard gain. And the Nittany Lions are in danger of a really quick 3-and-out here. We're now going to a 5-wide set. Of course, you have to watch out for a QB draw in a time like this. The big house is rocking right now. 100,000 screaming, trying to get in McSorley's head. Michigan fakes. Josh Metellus fakes a blitz, then moves back into coverage. And he doesn't have any time to throw. Josh Uche and Chase Winovich were in there. I mean, faster than you can even process what's going on. Your heart has to go out for Trace McSorley on a night like tonight. He has had I don't know what happened there. Josh Uche and Chase Winovich were in the backfield before I could even comprehend a thing.
Coming from both sides, it wasn't even. Trace McSorley really couldn't come in. Uche on the right, and it was a sack. And he's seen that too many times tonight.
Blocked, and Will Freeze, the right tackle, just completely got bull rushed by Chase Winovich. Peoples-Jones has to backpedal to catch this ball, but he's down the middle, gets past the 50, is pressured toward the sideline, and is finally taken out by the punter, Gillikin, at line. And this sounds like a broken record, but Michigan is again starting to drive inventory. That's going to be 3 straight. Peoples-Jones, it was a really good punt from Gillikin. That could have been a lot worse. And Jones catches it just the center. He normally likes to cut to the outside. Maybe he catches Penn State off guard there, right toward the end zone. Finally chased himself. I mean, man, oh my! I mean, is Michigan looking like a college football playoff team, to be honest, right now?
Absolutely, but they're just on the fringe. But we'll see how Alabama and LSU turns out tonight. Top 4. It's
too early to talk about. What I can tell you, though, completes about a 7-yard pass to Nico Collins to command Amani Oruwari, having a really solid game. It's not been beat too much. Home separation to pick up 6 yards on first down.
Yeah, and Uware was named Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week for his game against Iowa last. Don't be sleeping on him. He'll show up in this game for sure.
4:20 to go in this one. 2nd and 4 back. He is 1 yard away from 8 consecutive 100-yard games. Shea Patterson breaks the pocket, has to throw this one away. That's not going anywhere. And that was one of the few times Penn State has really gotten pressure on Patterson. I mean, Patterson is a very high back, but McSorley is a great one too. But Patterson is wonderful what his team has done for him.
He definitely there, and even earlier in the game when he is pressured, he's able to make a run out of it. More of what Penn State has to do, but that's easy to say when they have a good play.
So it's an empty set now. 4 receivers out. Nico Collins to his left, guarded by Amani Oruwari. Patterson is going to keep draw to run, though, and it ends up taking a loss. Ends up getting sacked. That brings up 4th and 7. And the Wolverine offense has stayed on the field up to this point. Looks like they're going to. How do you feel about this decision from the Wolverines? They are staying on the field.
I think that it is a little risky, especially but to touchdown. I hate to say only because it has seemed more dominant than that. But if they're trying something new, then I think it's worth it.
So now 3 receivers out to Patterson's left, 1 to his right, and Karan Higdon in the backfield. All off, though, didn't like what he saw and calls timeout. That gives Jim Harbaugh more time to mull this over. There is 3:21 left on the clock. Michigan is out of timeouts. You'd have to assume they're not going to probably get any more good chances to score a touchdown, especially with no timeouts. If they don't pick up a first down here, it could become a 3-score game with a field goal. But Michigan also has Penn State back into this one. Really go for it, kick a field goal options here.
The game one that Harbaugh feels like usually it would be the field goal, but I think they have a ton of confidence in Quinn, especially because just early. I mean, kick earlier at Michigan State earlier this season, and then you also have the kick. So that's rough, and I would like to take a correct myself. Named this mid-season All Big Ten first team. He was not the week. That was actually Yutor Gross-Matos, the defensive end for Penn State, after his loss in 2 sack performances and a win over a tough Iowa. So those are two players to really keep an eye on in Penn State that are on Gross-Matos. We put pressure on Shea Patterson, and Uare, is going to be locking down those receivers and be throwing it to Nico Collins
and as you mentioned, by Pro Football Focus, acclaimed to be one of the best cornerbacks in the country. He is likely group of cornerbacks in this game. Long and Lavert Hill for both likely to be playing on Sundays in their future.
Absolutely, Daniel. That's a great thing to say. The teams, the players that are talent is truly incredible. The NFL caliber. Take note, everyone. These are 2 very good teams. So it seems maybe a little dominant, a little lopsided right now. How will be it, and Big Ten always is able to roll out really good talent in the NFL draft.
And yeah, this Penn State team is not to be treated lightly. I mean, they are a really solid team. They're gonna, if this score holds, they're gonna be falling backward in the rankings. But I think they're a top 15 team in the country, and right now is running them out of the big.
They had a big hole, and they're just adjusting still.
Will Hart now comes onto the field. That's the first name. Michigan has not punted so far. That's just something I kind of forgot about, given how long these drives have been going for. Well, if you don't punt in the first, looking to be up more than, with the defense Michigan's playing with, 14 points could be plenty. Will Hart now yard line with punt returner Hamler standing at his own 10. 3:21 to go. Penn State has 2 timeouts. Michigan would really love to give them to work with. Still have not gotten the punt underway. It looks like maybe, and they end up letting the clock run out for a delay of game. So Will Hart will move 5 yards backward, and that might actually be more comfortable for him. A lot of punters like to go backward a bit when they're so close to the end zone and really work on pinning the opposition deep. So the referees for a second. Penn State, that's pretty smart actually, I think, by James Franklin. If you know the punter wants to go backward, just decline it. But they thought about it, they're going to accept, so the ball moves. So I guess James Franklin elects not to. I don't know why the referee thought that he did. Will Hart with his heels on the 45 now. Still waiting to get it underway, and finally there's a snap. It's clean. end over end. Hamler looks at it, decides not to return, takes a bounce at the 7. It takes a favorable bounce for the Michigan Wolverines. Parks it around the 10 before it looks like Glasgow is able to scoop it up. So it'll be 1st and 10 from their own 10-yard line for the Nittany Lions. That's a good punt. Rolled a bit better for the Wolverines, but the way it popped straight up, that helped keep the Wolverines, that helped ensure no touchback.
Yeah, and that was the most confident call that Harbaugh could have made there. Like you were saying, you can kick it, you can go for that. Ended up giving them the best, giving Penn State the worst field advantage, and Michigan more so.
So 90 yards to pay dirt for Lions. They have 3 minutes and 10 seconds to work with in the remaining in the second half. Shotgun formation. Trace McSorley drops back this time, finds a man, but he cannot quite hold on to it. It was a little bit behind his intended receiver. That brings up 2nd and 10. A quick 3 and out here could put the Wolverines in position to make. That's not what anyone's thinking about right now. Wolverines have to focus on stopping Penn State short of any points. I mean, right now they're on, I doubt it'll stay this way, but right now they're against one of the best offenses in the country. The crowd is getting loud here. 3:06 to go. McSorley makes some adjustments. Stands in the shotgun with Sanders to his left. Dumps it off to Sanders, who it shakes the tackle. Khalid damage ends up missing, and Sanders sneaks along the sideline, goes out of bounds right in front of the sticks. I mean, he basically collided with the orange marker. Doesn't quite get it, they rule. 3rd and short.
Yeah, Michigan's defense is how well they've been playing, but Khalid Hudson hasn't had such a standout year as he did last year, especially when he had that standout game against. And Michigan's usually been able to really utilize the Viper position, like Jabril Pepper.
This really tells you something about Penn State's offense. On 3rd and 1, they go now in the shotgun. Sanders keeps it and finds a hole. He had to hesitate, but he did find the gap he needed to pick up the 1st down, but nothing else. So good play call right there, ends up resulting in the 1st down. Josh Metellus makes the tackle, and Gracie mentioned a couple times, sometimes Michigan quickly, McSorley can't get a good hit. Eradicate that issue by just going to Sanders.
It's worked for them for a couple big plays.
So McSorley now in the shotgun once more. Drops back, he once again with it. Rolls out to his left and is going to run. Doesn't have anywhere to go, though. Makes it for a 1-yard gain and not much else. And that's really nice when you can contain McSorley. He has negative 13 rushing yards when you factor in sacks in this game. I mean, if you told the game that McSorley would be held to minus 13 yards, I think they'd all assume they win the game.
Oh, absolutely. When you have 2 running threats in the backfield for Penn State, such as Miles Sanders and Trace McSorley, it makes it really difficult to think, oh, you can contain both of them, but Michigan has.
Well, Michigan has contained the run so well. That 1-yard gain brings Penn State up to 0 total rushing yards in the game, rushing yards up until then. McSorley drops back, doesn't have anywhere to throw. Final middle of the field, Pat Fryermuth, the target of the first play of the game, gets open for a healthy 21-yard, puts the ball on the Penn State 41-yard line. First big play we've seen from their offense since that. They're going hurry up here. They still have 2 timeouts, but there's only 1:38 to go in the first half. McSorley drops back, has some time to throw again. Good protection lately. Finds KJ Hamler down the field at the Michigan 38-yard line. Tackle, but the Penn State offense is clicking right now that McSorley has 120. Some Michigan defenders going to have to come up with a big play here to keep points off the board. Sanders to his right. McSorley drops back, has time once more, looks and throws toward the side of Hamler's head, and that gives the Michigan defense time to breathe again.
Yeah, McSorley has been thriving right here in this. Maybe it's because of this hurry-up offense. He's in this hurry-up mindset. But maybe that's what he always has to be in, especially when Don Brown, he blitzes every play. He sends his players for a blitz on every play. So maybe this is where Trace McSorley needs to be.
So 1:11 to go in the half, 2nd and 10 from the 39-yard line. They are on the edge of field goal range, but they have to be thinking touchdown right now. McSorley drops back, surveys, has a man open downfield, but overthrows DeAndre Tompkins, who was wide open, had beat his man off the line, and was gone for a touchdown if McSorley doesn't overthrow him. Watson is the man he beat.
And these are the reasons McSorley can't run because he cannot get out of the pocket because Michigan. Well, this really shows his kind of weaknesses in the pass game. Like, can he really guys downfield?
And McSorley's had very little help from his offense as a whole so far. Tompkins did a fantastic job getting wide open, and McSorley couldn't quite find him on one of the few times his offense gave him a lot of help. A crucial third down now. McSorley drops back, is under pressure, and is hit in the backfield. And he is brought down. That is by Brandon Watson, who got burnt on the last play and then ends up making up for it with a huge sack, takes Penn State out of field goal range. So that puts the ball at the 46-yard line. In Glasgow, we're 29, not 20, it's 28. Glasgow comes in there and gets the huge sack. I am time Wolverine fans. 2 older brothers in the NFL, Glasgow has.
And that makes it four sacks for Michigan on McSorley in the first half. I mean, that is truly incredible. 2 in the first offensive series, maybe some adjustment for the Penn's offensive line there. Maybe a little bit shock adjustment, but that's 2 since then. That's rough. McSorley must be feeling that, and that's another thing to consider. Like, McSorley is on the ground a lot, and
the Penn State blockers on the punt squad just huddled up there. I would keep my eye out for a fake on this play. Might be the time to do it with 1 second remaining. It's a low snap, but they get it off, nearly blocked. Donovan Peoples-Jones signals for fair catch, and that ball lands on the M in the end zone. Will 25 with 54 seconds left. And McSorley, as you mentioned, he just cannot catch a break today. He is under duress the whole time. And really the one chance he got, he overthrew his man. And he's going to have to live with that. I mean, against Michigan, if you are given a yard, you have to make a mile out of it.
And it's maybe something that he doesn't focus on. Maybe the offense, James Franklin, doesn't focus on those kind of passes as much because he's been able to thrive running. And but now when that is taken away from him, it really shows as a weakness. And this is when Penn State needs it.
Michigan comes out in the shotgun with 3 receivers wide. Looks like Tariq Black out to the far right. We'll see if they try to go hurry up here and put points on the board, or they just ride a 14-0 lead into the half. Patterson drops back, is backpedaling, running for his life, and cannot escape Yetur Gross-Matos, who is a real threat here on this offense, a true sophomore who will be playing in Sundays at some point. I think that'll end the half for the Wolverines as Shea Patterson takes that sack right there.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't have anything to prove right now. They're up by 2 touchdowns. They're just going to run some plays, see what they can make out of it.
And that is the first sack of the game for the Nittany Lions compared to Michigan's 4 as they now enter what is known as victory formation. It's too early to call it that in the first half, but
what is generally known as victory. Michigan could probably take the victory of the first half. That was an incredibly dominant game. And I know, Daniel, you were talking earlier about time, how much time that Michigan has the first drive very quick, and then compared to that, Penn State has the ball. The possession in that first half, Penn State had the ball for 15 seconds. Michigan had it for 19 minutes. That's 10 minutes longer. Not only does that mentally on have the ball, not be able to make plays if they need to, that's mentally hard on a team. And just to know that it's always, the playmaking is always in the hands of the opponent. That's rough, and it's something you have to get over. And then it's also hard, Penn State's defense, and you know, in that way too, it tires out one side of the ball for one team, and then you know, that goes both ways. But that possession was very lopsided in the first half, and that's something that Penn State's really going to win in the second half.
Time of possession is, of course, crucial, especially against such a gifted offense. There's a lot of 5 stars. Trace McSorley, of course, on this offense, but I mean, Michigan is making him look like just a regular group of 5. I mean, right now they're shutting out one of the most explosive. If that, I mean, they now are put the pressure on Penn State to score 14.5 against the Wolverines. I don't know if anyone has done that. Northwestern scored 17 very quickly, but outside of that, I don't know if anyone has done that. I mean, and the committee says they don't look in too much. They also say they use the eye test, which to me that means somewhat similar things. Right now, Michigan is rolling, and that's a huge statement. If you look out elsewhere in the country, Georgia is now, that's a huge one. Georgia ranked 1 spot behind Michigan, is playing a jump the Wolverines. They lead 14-3 in Lexington. Michigan leads 14-0 here.
Yeah, Daniel, I think you're right on it to start going in this direction with the college playoff rankings just coming out this week. There'll definitely be a shakeup no matter what. We have 2 teams playing that are in the top 4, LSU and Alabama at 8 o'clock, where Michigan ends up, especially because Michigan's right at 5, and there's plenty of other teams right on the fringe there. What are some other ones? Clemson beat Louisville 77-16. There's your margin of score.
Yeah, that was
like, that's incredible. How can playoff not look at that? Obviously Louisville not ranked, but it's something to look at. You're right. So it would bode well for us to put up a couple more points, and especially to shut out Penn State, which is kind of an incredible thing to say, to shut out Penn State after just that was an impossible task. Full on Saquon Barkley. It was on Trace McSorley. So I for Michigan's defense to come out after to say that they've shut out the Nittany Lions. Like, what kind of feeling would they be able to have after being run over last year?
Certainly, it's been really back and forth in this rivalry. 2 years ago, the Nittany Lions come into Ann Arbor, get blown out, end up winning the Big Ten either way. Then the Wolverines go into State College, they get blown out. Margin of victory for the first game in Ann Arbor was 39. Then Penn State won by 29 last year. Michigan up 14 right now. These teams have really just traded blows, just beating down the other in their home stadium. I mean, if you go by the college football playoff rankings, Penn State is the 3rd best team in the Big Ten. I would, in my honest opinion, they are the 2nd best team in the Big Ten. They're ranked 14th in the playoff rankings. Getting to that in a second here is the fact that Michigan, who is currently 1 game ahead of Ohio State in the standings, that doesn't really matter unless Ohio State slips up in one of their 2 games before, which they could. Michigan State, a place where Michigan won, and at Maryland. But as long as Ohio State keeps winning, that will set up a huge matchup with a college football playoff bid on the line between Michigan and Ohio State 2 days after Thanksgiving. But, I mean, right now the Huskers, who came into here and lost 56-10 a month ago now, over a month ago, they've been playing better, but, I mean, it's still the same. They went to Columbus today, 36-31. I mean, just to install some confidence that the Wolverines are by a consistent team in the Big Ten.
And it always gives Wolverine fans, Wolverine players, everyone a little anxiety about Ohio State always fielding a great for the last game of the season. That's why it's called the game. Because there's always so much at stake. If not necessarily bowl games are stake, it's the pride, it's the rivalry, just the bragging rights that are at stake. So no matter what, it is very entertaining.
It really is, and I'm in no way trying to assert that Michigan should be expected to blow out the Buckeyes in Ohio.
There's no way. There's no way that will probably ever happen in the history. I'm sure it has happened, but that will ever happen, I would be very surprised, just because it's a competitive game.
Ohio State was a much better team than Michigan last year, and Michigan still made it a very close game in Ann Arbor. So, and I think this Ohio State team is much better than the 2017 Wolverines. We have a joint marching band effort here from the Wolverines and the Nittany Lion marching bands. Please share what this for. It's meant for the people on the other side of the stadium, so I can't quite make out what they're supposed to be doing right here, but nice to see the two bands cooperating. But going back to the national landscape, of course, the game for tonight is Alabama versus LSU. Not everyone is even confident that the fourth-ranked team in the country has a chance at home against the Crimson Tide. And I think that's a big reason why Michigan maybe not only wants to get into the playoff, maybe avoid the 4th seed, could be a force to reckon with.
Right time that Alabama played Michigan, it was
Yes,
down in Dallas at 8. I was present for that. I will tell you, there is nothing worse than a whole Alabama crew. It is I think it is technically in Arlington, but the Dallas area is not very far from Tuscaloosa. Michigan fans were in the minority, and there's nothing worse than hearing them being yelled with quite some might across that huge stadium.
And it just occurred to me this is a Game of Thrones marching band performance. They spelled out GOT earlier, lost on me, but they're making a big dragon right now. So
yeah, look at me and Daniel and I just not being able to pick up on things like this. Thrones, so I wouldn't have pick up on the Paul Bunyan pose either, man.
Yeah, I guess we were a bit slow to that one too. Indeed, yeah, fun. Watch Game of Thrones, and I feel like I'm in a small minority there. But they do make a dragon at the very end, and it finally clicks to me in the closing seconds of this performance.
And I will tell you, that is an impressive dragon.
Yeah. How do you work it? Coming back from the Penn State band buses right outside the big house, maybe they practiced this last night, but I mean, you know, they're in class through from a really impressive joint marching band performance like this without really being with each other.
It's incredible. I was a dancer all my life, so the marching band is similar in that it's staging and it's all these very precise spots, and if someone's not in the right spot, it looks weird. Like if like the left crooked, if one person was out of a dragon. So it takes a lot of practice, and you got to move in sync, and it's truly incredible that they are able to do this. But big shout out to both marching bands. To have Penn State's marching band here on the field and participating in the halftime show. Marching bands are great. They add so much to college football, in my opinion, and they're a part of they're the spectacle and the focus of one of my favorite commercials that Big Ten has put out with all the different Big Ten marching bands. I think that's great. A lot of work. I know on campus that all of them walk around in their varsity jackets. I can hear them from my house playing on Fridays, on Thursday, to play down on a field, not on practice, and they are out there, rain or shine. It can be cold and rainy, as it often is in Ann Arbor, and they're always out there. So they're a dedicated group, and they always sound good, and it's definitely worth it. And
they are now entering what I think is their final formation that looks like a crown. I'd imagine.
I think that's a sword.
Oh, okay.
A sword and a crown.
Yes.
Anyone for Game of Thrones, tweet at WCBN Sports and let us know what maybe the significance of a crown and sword is. Daniel and I would both appreciate it, and we promise to reply. Or maybe give us some cool. Yeah, we would love that. To get us caught up on pop culture.
Indeed. Yeah, there's a couple head scratchers for me in that one, but the Dragon really sold it to me what they were doing. Really impressive display, though. I mean, both bands have, like, what, 300, 400 field out a high five. Good performance there. It was a really good team effort between both schools right there. On the football field, it has not been the same story, though.
No, it has not quite been that evenly split. That's for sure. Michigan has been dominating. But Daniel, you were talking about the national anthem. Have you seen anything else that comes out? A Big Ten score, a couple Big Ten scores. I believe this score was in before the game, but Michigan State defeated Maryland 24-3. Final for Nebraska, Ohio State. That was a close one. I know. Many were watching that. That was really close. Ohio State, currently ranked number 10, just against 6-31. Daniel, do you have anything to say? Shaking your head over there. Did you see the end of that?
Yeah, I was there through the end for that one. It was a rough ride for the Huskers. They got up and had it exciting. And one thing, from the Michigan perspective about, wondering how really good this Ohio State team is, Nebraska in that first half had two of the ever in college football history. It's gone viral already. There's the worst kickoff ever. It was, I think, meant to be onside, and then they ended up. The ball went like 1 yard. Then the Huskers
where it got kicked backwards.
Yes,
I definitely already saw like a viral clip of that.
And then there was a 1st and goal situation where the Huskers ran a triple option, didn't like the handoff, didn't like the QB keeper, so Martinez elects to rather throw a lateral back to J.D. Spielman. Spielman draws, State recovers. So they just took 7 or 3 points off the board like that. Huskers did not bring their A game into Columbus and still gave the Buckeyes one great fight. So,
but that's big for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, for Scott Frost there. Rough season. Losing, what is this?
7th game now.
Yes.
Got off to an 0-6.
That's for sure rough. Blowout. Michigan defeated Nebraska 56-10. Purdue defeated Nebraska 42-28. And it goes on. Wisconsin 41-24. They seem to come back for the Northwestern game, though they ended up losing by a field goal
in overtime.
In overtime. That was, but then they had 2 wins after that. Minnesota, Boston College, and then they put up a good contest against Nebraska. People were rough on them. Fans were rough, probably for good reasons. They were rough on them at the beginning of the year. Ross needed some time to adjust, which is normal for any coach coming into a new program.
Elsewhere in the Big Ten, here's a huge result. At halftime, Purdue is beating Iowa 21-17, and I'll tell you why that might be more significant than it occurs to a lot of people. If Purdue wins this, then Northwestern can afford to lose in Kinnick in a couple weeks, and they still will be first in the Big Ten West. They have 1 loss. Iowa has 2. They're the one-loss team in the Big Ten West. They already have the head-to-head win over Purdue. If this score holds and Iowa doesn't make the 4-point comeback in the second half in West Lafayette, so it'll be interesting to see how that one shakes out. No way.
Well, I mean, Purdue, David Blau there, I think he's doing a great job. Obviously, they pulled off the upset, what was it, against Ohio State? Or am I crazy? Or did they not quite pull that off?
No, Purdue beat Ohio State by 29.
Yeah, right. Yes, there you go. I was like, hold on, maybe I am crazy. But that would be huge. I think Purdue does have that like extra tank that they really can go into if they need it. But as you were saying, the Big Ten West, Northwestern, really great team. They take on Notre Dame next week, and I think.
That's tonight, actually.
Tonight? No, yeah, you're right. Tonight, 7:15. They take on tonight, and that's a game to watch. Notre Dame ranked number 4. Michigan's 1 loss. Michigan ranks number 5 now, right behind them. Notre Dame, I don't think is as good as everyone says. I think they definitely have their holes, but I mean, they've held their own, and you can't complain about that. Northwestern could possibly pull that upset, and that would be huge. So there's a couple games to watch for sure.
And the committee certainly did Notre Dame a disservice by putting them behind a one-loss LSU team, which is interesting because Alabama and Ohio and Clemson haven't really played much of anyone either, and Notre Dame has one of the best wins in the country. They end up getting put to fourth. They'll move up if LSU loses tonight.
The conference thing too. Notre Dame's not in a conference, and then LSU's in the SEC, but then Clemson's in the ACC. So I do think that there's kind of like this bias against Notre Dame for not being in a conference. Absolutely.
The College Football Playoff Committee is owned, or the corporation that is the College Football Playoff is owned by the conferences, so that puts Notre Dame to a disadvantage. But this is really the Big Ten's last chance to really elevate themselves as a conference on the national stage. If Northwestern can get the win, hosting the Irish coming into Evanston, I can guarantee you that won't really be a real home field advantage. There are thousands of Notre Dame fans in the Chicago area that there will be more Notre Dame fans. Like, I would be willing to bet there are more Michigan fans in Evanston. But in general, if Notre Dame looks worse, that hurts Michigan. But they also want to be able to jump Notre Dame, and this is a rare opportunity where to go into Evanston, Michigan had to go into Evanston. Michigan got the win. That can be a way for Michigan to establish that they might be better than Notre Dame, even if they lost. Also jump them while also making the Big Ten look better. So that could be a huge result. Northwestern right now is really happy that they might be able to win the Big Ten West without beating Iowa. And that's, of course, big for Michigan because they already beat Northwestern. And should they win the Big Ten East, as right now they are in first place, they might end up getting Northwestern in that game.
There are definitely some games that can switch up, helping Michigan, but also just shaking up the entire college football playoffs this week. It made the reveal not super exciting this past week because it was pretty much exactly what everyone was going to say, especially top five, top six. But after this week, there will be some great shakeups. That will be some great debate. National landscape once again. Florida, who's number 11, is taking on Mizzou, University of Missouri, and Missouri is currently up 14-3 in the second quarter with 13 minutes still to go. It's early in that game, but that's still they still have a good lead on them, and that could shake up the SEC as well. With Missouri in these tight, they've been doing having these tight games. Has been rebuilding for a while. And then also another game on the radar is Will Greer. There, and in my opinion, a great quarterback. He's very fun to watch. West Virginia is taking on Texas. West Virginia currently ranked 13th. The big thing is back, and in this game they are not. West Virginia is up 17-14 in the second quarter, with 12 minutes 38 seconds to go. Still a lot to happen, but it would be a big win for Texas to be able to overcome that kind of talent at quarterback.
Indeed, and of course, West Virginia is still alive in the playoff hunt. Texas is kind of out of it, but that has huge implications for the Big 12. That will shake up who goes to the Big 12 championship game and everything, and Oklahoma's resume. Now, both sides are beginning to take the field, so that'll do it from us. Very dominant first half for the Wolverines. Just to quickly put it in numbers, right now is outgained Penn State by an incredible margin. Karan Higdon 1 yard away from 100 yards, but Michigan as a whole has 210 yards to Penn State's 77. And that basically sums up the first half for you. We're now going to move forward to the second half and turn it over to our own Alex Drain and Nate Sorensen. Alex.
All right, the second 2 minutes until we get underway. Both now back. Nate, what was your biggest takeaway from the first half?
That was an absolutely stellar performance by this Michigan pass protection. My goodness, you mentioned that it was going to be a big test for Runyon and Bushell Beatty. Probably their biggest test is Notre Dame. And Notre Dame has Penn State has rushers. And Shea Patterson has just had all day to throw. Granted, Michigan hasn't gone through the air very often, but when they do, Shea Patterson has had time. They've taken deep shots down the field, and the protection's just been absolutely Shea Patterson to be on the ground quite a bit this game. He has been absolutely, I just had all day here, though.
So until we kick off the second half, Michigan leads Penn State 14-0, 210 to 77 for Penn State. The real difference, 115 rushing yards for Michigan, -6 for Penn State. The blitz really got home when they were doing it. That last drive, Michigan kind of backed off on the blitz, and McSorley had more time to throw, but when Michigan was bringing 4 and 5 guys, Uche, etc., there was a lot of success. Uche, trying to see the exact number, he had, I believe, a sack and a half in that first half. It was a really impressive performance by the defense all around. They credit Uche with 2 sacks, Winovich with 1, so 4 sacks in the first half for Michigan. They were in the face of McSorley, and when Penn State had the opportunity to take the ball to 35, they had Michigan re-kick that they think their best chance to score points is not on offense but special teams. Tells you how much they're fearing the Michigan defense right now.
And that's not totally on, this Penn State offense.
No.
Hamler's an absolutely excellent kick returner.
Yeah.
And Michigan has been some big kick returns. I believe that was against
Maryland.
Yes, and it was a gamble. I still think it's not the best decision. It's easy when a decision. It's easy to always lean that it's the wrong one. It appeared to be the wrong one there, but I don't totally hate it, especially with as stellar as this Michigan defense has been. Absolutely dominant performance.
So the ball has been placed down onto the tee. It's going to be Penn State kicking to Michigan. Rafael Cheka, the kickoff man, back deep for the Wolverines, who have Avery Thomas. He's the main one who's going to get it. This is the first kickoff of the game for Penn State, with no points scored in that first half, and Michigan kicking high into the air. Thomas is going to return it. He catches it his own 6, and he's going to run it out. He's got a hole. He cuts to the outside. He's at the 35-40 up the sideline. He outruns the kicker. There is a flag down. He's going to the 25. This one will probably come back with a hold.
Yeah, that's definitely the flags. There are 2 flags down, actually. One at the 35, one at the 30. On Michigan's 30 and 35, should probably clarify that. They've got to be holding penalties or something of that sort.
Yeah, we'll see what it is, the flags, and now I think they're going to go over and talk with Franklin. Or now they're just going to get the referee's signal. It's going to be a block in the back or a hold. 10-yard ball of the foul, so we'll see where the ball gets spotted, because the flag came out a little bit later, but it may have been on a foul that occurred a bit farther, so they're going to spot it at the 23.
And it's strange because the flag near the 30 was actually near where Thomas was running. The one on the 35 was about the center of the field, right in between the hash mark. Thomas was running up the sideline, so if it was a hold, it was far away from where the actual, not something you typically see on a kick return.
So 1st and 10 now for the Wolverines. They come out with Patterson in the shotgun and Higdon to his left. 2 wide receivers but at the line. And they are just going to give it to Higdon. He goes to the side, cuts it back, and goes forward for only about 1 yard. Penn State got bulldozed on the early drive in this one, but then it had some issues. Penn State generally locked down a lot better, as they did on that one. Just a gain of 1 for Higdon.
Like, more reluctant to keep it himself on read option plays there near the end of the first half. Made this team a little...
2nd and 9, Patterson and an McCune from left to right has now 5, and he's going to throw a quick screen. He's got Evans out in the flat. Evans is going to make a nice little spin. Hard tackle and falls down to the 29 after a gain of 5. It'll set up 3rd and 4. Michigan's been in a handful of 3rd downs here in this game. 4 for 8 on the day. This will be the 9th, and it's a 3rd and medium.
And I'm surprised to see Michigan, or surprised to see that Michigan hasn't gone to screen passes more often. As we all know, Ohio State absolutely defense near the end of the game going with screens. Really, Michigan's, that may have been only the second screen of the game here.
Yeah, they tried a couple others, but job of sniffing out some of them. Patterson drop, where he's got time, he steps up, he throws a little behind McCune, and it's knocked incomplete, and so it'll be a 3-and-out on the opening possession. That throw was behind.
And I'm surprised isn't called on the sideline. It looked like Cam Brown there in coverage got to McCune a little early there.
It hit McCune. I mean, it was a tad behind him, but it hit him in the sort of the right side of his body as he was coming across the field, left to right. So now Michigan comes out to punt. Will Hart is the punter, and KJ Hamler, the ever dangerous kick returner, back deep for Penn State. Hart catches it at his own 14, and he boots it from the 18. Hamler on a trying to size it up. He catches it from the 27, attempting to go. He's at the 30, and there's a flag. He's going to be tackled at the 36 by Ambry Thomas, and now a lot of jawing between Thomas and Hamler as they get up. The flag did come flying out from the middle of the field, and you anticipate it's another hold or
yeah, it's got to be. And I'm leaning towards a block in the back. It looked like a Ham West there.
Yep, it is a block in the. We'll see where they spot the ball this time, because that one came out rather early in the Hamler return, and it was called by in the middle of the field. It came flying out.
Yeah, well, might have been one of the best throws of the day, really.
Yeah. So they're going all the way up to the Nittany 18-yard line. Michigan is fortunate in the field. PSU backed up there of the half was pretty solid. They gave McSorley time to throw. We'll see if they or Don Brown really ratchets up. McSorley in the shotgun. Sanders to his right, 4 wide. He feels some pressure, going to throw over the middle, intended for Hamler, too high over his head and a little behind as they push backwards.
Penn State offense, they make a whole lot of catches. Their catch rate's very low, especially with a guy like Hamler. He's generously listed at 5'9". A throw over the middle there, if it's a little high, he's not going to be able to make that play.
So now 2nd and 10 from the 17. Been active with his line of scrimmage, going up and talking to the offense the plays. And he's going to drop back. No, he's going to hand it off to Sanders to the outside, trying to, but unable to push, tracks him down from behind and drops him after a gain of about 4 and 6 from the 21.
Yeah, Sanders has been well contained all day. That's only his 5th attempt, right? Take him up to about on the ground here so far. Absolutely fantastic by this Michigan run defense.
So now 3rd and 6 from the Penn State 21. This is Michigan's opportunity to get off the field and have good field position. McSorley in the shotgun. Left, 4 wide receivers. Trying to keep it himself. He's running towards the first guy. He's going to come up 1 yard short, a 5-yard gain, but pushed down from behind, and here comes the punt unit.
This is one right here. I would seriously consider going very deep in your own territory, but the way that this Michigan defense has looked, Penn State has not been able to move the ball very well. You got to take some risks every once in a while. I know James, without some more bold decision making here, I don't know how Penn State's going to come back.
Out comes the punter, Blake Gillikin. He stands the ball spotted on the 26, and Gillikin boots it. A nice kick as it pushes people outside, and it bounces out of bounds at the 36. So Michigan wins that, and they'll have a bit than they did on their. One important thing to point out here is that the Penn State rounds in Michigan dominated time of possession in that first half. On the game, it's about 10 minutes Penn State, and so every time you punt it back to Michigan, risk of another being taken off.
Yeah, that's something offense has got to get a little bit better at, though. They're starting to kind of stall if the run game doesn't pick it up a little bit here, they're going to lose that a little bit.
Well, we saw in the Michigan teams, Michigan being very resilient so far, but it's a matter of whether they have the tenacity to continue fighting, even if Michigan keeps slamming for 100 yards. Evans, 4 rushes for 10. Ben Mason, 3 rushes, 8 yards, and then Patterson, 6 for 0, with the sacks factored in. Huddled during this media, 7 to go in the third quarter. Michigan still leads Penn State 14-0. 7 points in the first quarter, 7 points in the second quarter. A 1-yard Patterson run at 8:12 of the first quarter, and then a 23-yard strike to Peoples-Jones at 6:52 of the second quarter for the 14-0 lead.
Yeah, it's been a great day overall for this Michigan offense, but there still has been the problem of finishing drives. As much as Michigan's dominated this game, as well, offense has moved the ball, they've picked up 216 total yards. That's a pretty nice game. For them to only end up with 14 points, that's just not. It's putting it's too much onus on your defense.
Well, we talked about in the pregame that Penn State is a good defense, and they've got Michigan for the most part. They got a field goal first half, 50 yards. They did a great job to block it. They actually returned the block all the way for a touchdown, but 3 fouls on sideline warning to Michigan, and then both teams had an illegal block below the waist, so it was very convoluted. It took quite a while to try and sort that one out. So now the huddles are breaking.
Yeah, the refs have not been reluctant to throw flags in this one.
They've been quite active in that regard.
Huge change from the Michigan State game. Besides a couple of drives, that one was very loosely called. Yeah,
there wasn't a lot of penalties in that one, besides the after the plays that were all offsetting. So they come out of the timeout. Michigan 1st and 10 from their own 36. Patterson in the shotgun. He's got Mason to his left, and then Higdon's going to trouble, cuts it back, and is able to pick up, get back to the line of scrimmage. But right now, the truth is Michigan is running it so much that it's double. Penn State stacking the box on most of these defensive plays.
And that one was a handoff to Higdon all the way. There was no mesh, no threat of Shea Patterson pulling that one, taking it himself, and that's something this Michigan offense, Penn State is not on their heels at all.
He's got a tight end at the line, and they are going to have Patterson keep it himself. He faked out the linebackers for a minute, and he dived to the 44-yard line. That'll be a pickup of about 8 yards, and they'll come up just short for yard 36. That's the first Patterson keeper in a while, and the linebackers were very reluctant to tackle him. They just kind of stood there as he started running at them, and then finally they brought him down. But a nice job to dive and pick up extra yardage.
Yeah, these linebackers of Penn State's defense, if they're the ones that have to make plays, that's a win for the Michigan offense.
3rd and 2, Patterson is going to Higdon. He falls forward to the 45, but that's not enough. Good tackle made there right away by a swarm of Penn State bot. 4th and 1 upcoming. I think Harbaugh is going to go for it. I don't know. We'll see. Now the offense is walking towards the sideline. There's a lot of indecision going on right now. 20 seconds on the play clock. And now the punt team is finally running out there. They got to hurry, though.
It's tough. When in situations like this, it seems like Ben Mason is about a game yards. It's tough to see Jim Harbaugh just not calling his number that often this game.
So Hart comes out, and they do just get from the 35, and this is another one of those rocket kicks. It goes over, bouncing near the goal line, and they just can't save it. So they will put the ball on the 20-yard line after the touchback. It's so funny. Will Hart, last year his issues the ball far. This year it's his inability to not kick the ball far. You know, he just doesn't have a lot of accuracy. He steps up there on every carry.
That's a good problem to have. It's not entirely his accuracy, though, because when he tries to kick into the corner, he's getting that coffin corner. It's just he can't. And that's one right there. He probably just never expected that one to make it all the way to the end zone, and just too strong for his own good. That was absolutely a boot there. Leave. That one managed to roll back into the end zone. That's a tough break.
At this point in the game, with 9:26 to go in the quarter, about some of Michigan's play calling, I think it is worth asking, because Michigan now has run 32 rushing plays and 11 passing plays. And these last 2 drives, they've run 1 passing play and 5 no for. It's effective if you're really getting it, but the problem is they're not. And it's just a little odd to run the play.
Especially this Michigan passing attack has been Shea Patterson 6 for 11, 100 yards, and he's had decent time to throw all day. He hasn't really needed it, and he's taken a couple of sacks. Overall, the pass protection's been good. He's had a couple, one deep bomb down the field to Nico Collins, down throw to DPJ was another shot downfield. He nearly got another one to Peoples-Jones in the end zone. The passing game looks good. It's weird that Harbaugh's shying away from it here. The want to just milk the clock right now, but it's still only a 2-possession game. It hasn't looked particularly effective. This defense is lacking. I think there are some big plays on this Nittany Lions team. Hamler can take a slant for a touchdown at any moment. He had a 50-yard rushing touchdown last week. And you wouldn't expect them to make those types of plays against Michigan, but it's certainly possible.
Wolverines defense has been off 6 total yards given up, 80 in the air, 3 on the ground. That's it. Penn State comes out at their own 20-yard line. Still no points in this. Greens 14-0. 9:26 to go in the third quarter. McSorley in the shotgun. Sanders to his right. Now they do that little option where Sanders takes the direct snap. He's going to keep it himself off to the side, and Michigan wraps him up right away. Looked like Tyree Cannell and Rashawn Gary over on that side of the after a gain of just 1.
I do not understand what Penn State's trying to do with that play there. Because with that option ending up with Sanders or McSorley with the ball, you're just having Sanders make the decision. McSorley is one of the best in all of college football at making those decisions, reading the defense, picking the right option. I don't know why you're taking
it at 9. And they're starting to feel some pressure. He throws over the middle, almost intercepted. Throw a little high, tight coverage there between Brandon Watson and Mac Hippenheimer. High and behind Hippenheimer.
Yeah, Hippenheimer never had a chance at that one, but Watson nearly pulled down a Jordan Lewis there, one-handed over his head. That would have been an absolutely spectacular play, though.
3rd and 9 now. It's to get right back off the field. Go in the third quarter. McSorley empties the backfield. Now he brings Sanders right back next to him to his left. He's got 4 receivers. Michigan pressure. McSorley is in trouble. Has to is going to try to run for hard by Tyree Cannell and bounced out of bounds. 6-yard line, but that's another stop for this Michigan defense, and they get off the field.
That was an excellent play right there by Cannell, because man option or man-to-man across the board when the quarterback free. Normally safeties that far down the field aren't able to come up and get to the quarterback before they cross the line, the first down marker. That's a heck of a heads-up play there by Tyree Cannell.
Well, and that's such a tough situation for Cannell because he was dangerously close to hitting him out of bounds, has to time that hit perfectly. So out comes yet another punt, a good one over Peoples-Jones's head. We'll see if he can keep it in play. And 2 big hops and into the end zone. So with 8:01 remaining in the third quarter, Michigan will get it from their 20, still up 14-0, and now we have a penalty flag down.
That's back right around 30, about 7 yards past the original line of scrimmage.
It's going to be a hold on Michigan during the kick. So that'll back Michigan up quite a bit. Should put the ball on the Wolverines. So that kick ends up really being useful today because Gillikin is able to put Michigan on their own 10 thanks to a penalty.
Being called down there, that must have been one of the gunners being held as they were running down.
Yeah.
Which I don't think a chance to get to that one anyway. Well, that's a really terrible one right there, especially with the position it puts this Michigan offense.
Well, Michigan's going to have to show the ability to actually throw the ball on this drive because at this point, there's just not a whole lot of reason to respect Michigan's ability to throw when winning the ball ever.
Yeah, and it shows. Penn State is stacking the box. They know what's coming. These linebackers play aggressive. They play run first anyway. And it's really giving them free license to just sell out and stop the Michigan run. And they've been able to do it so far here in the second half. That cannot keep continuing here.
Look around. Georgia continues to lead Kentucky 28-10 there in the late third quarter. Looks like both the SEC title game. Pretty clear path to that if they can finish that one off. Halftime, Texas leads West Virginia 28-27. Lost to the Mountaineers would pretty much KO them for the football playoff discussion. Florida's in trouble, down 21-10 early third quarter. Utah, the top 15 of the playoff rankings, they're up, down 21-17 to Arizona State. And Boston Tech 14-14. Out in the Big Ten West, Purdue just scored another touchdown to go back up 35-23 over Iowa. That game could really clear Northwestern's path to the Big Ten championship.
And makes Ohio State's loss look a little better.
Yeah.
Not much.
I mean, Purdue did lose to MSU last week.
Yeah, it's putting a Band-Aid on a bullet.
Yeah, yes.
But while we do have a little lull in the action, I do want to say, to go our last broadcast, we had you and Lucas Vargas broadcasting a storm.
Yep.
And now, this week, we have Daniel Thompson and Grace Boyles bringing us absolute of this marching band here today. WCBN Sports getting more and more versatile by the week.
Yeah, the marching band video guy over there was very excited about that half. Of course, Yana, thank you for joining us on 88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor. Michigan leads Penn State 14-0, 8:01 to go in the third quarter. From their own 10-yard line, McCune goes left to right, shotgun with Evans to the side. Patterson's got to hit him, and he's just going to dump it to him behind the line of scrimmage. Down after a gain of 1. The crowd stunned about.
By the time Shea threw that one to Chris Evans, they were nearly side by side.
Yeah, that was almost a backwards pass.
Yeah.
Well, so the other thing is that Evans was open, probably 8 or so yards. Patterson pulls the trigger early, and then
easily
he just holds it and throws it laterally to immediately tackled. Looked like, trying to get the number on that one. like number 6 Cam Brown bringing him down there. 2nd and 9, Michigan's got to hurry. 5 on the play clock. Patterson quickly runs up to the line under center. He's got Evans in the backfield. They are just going to give it to him. Evans right up the middle, spinning off a tackler, and he's dropped after a gain of 4. But here we go, 3rd and medium.
Yeah, what a disastrous start to this drive for Michigan. Just a bad decision by Shea Patterson there, and then it looked like this offense was just not ready to do what play they were running. Just had to simply run it up the middle. They get fairly good yardage out of it, but that did not look like a pre-planned play, right?
6 from the Michigan 14. Patterson in the shotgun, 3 wide receivers. His left, he's got the tight end, and he's got some blocks. Can he turn the corner? Yes, he can. 1st down out to the 25-yard line using his speed. Shea Patterson, an 11-yard scamper and a 1st down.
Not too often that you see Shea actually take a hit. Normally he does a very good job of getting down on the ground, sliding before he takes too much of a beating, but right there kind of had to run it all the way through to there, but kind of lowered his shoulder into it too.
1st and 10 from the Michigan 25. Now they're out of the shadow. Only 1 receiver. Higdon in the back is going to give it to him. He's got some running room. And around. Crowd wanted a potential face mask as he got twisted around there, and then he did a good job to fall forward down to the 31 or the 32. 2nd and 3 upcoming.
Yeah, it looked like 2 different players got him on the helmet. He got out at first, and then it was him by the back of the helmet as he went to the ground. I'm absolutely shocked at that one.
2nd Wolverines, Patterson in the pistol. Evans behind him. He feed Evans, and he gets pushed forward to the 1st down at the 36. Move the chains. Jim Harbaugh was yelling at the lines judge right next to him on the sideline. Michigan's had a lot of weird luck with face masks this year. There was the one it was either the SMU, the Maryland game, where it was everyone in the stadium saw it, and then the referees didn't throw the flag until after they saw the replay. A very appalling misses this year from officials in Michigan games. That's really my only complaint has been that missing the face masks. 1st and 10, Jefferson under center, and he's going to do a play action. Looking over the middle, he fires Peoples-Jones through a tough window, and then he gets absolutely clocked. 3 flags come in. That's going to be a targeting and an automatic ejection, you got to think. And that, I believe, is Amani Ruware.
It's a mouthful, and he is
a potential first-round NFL draft pick. That would be a momentous ejection. It's obvious as it ever gets. We'll see. The officials are talking here. They have announced the targeting.
Yeah, and with targeting, there's kind of a checklist of things. First and foremost, if there's head-to-head contact. And second, if the defensive player is leading with the helmet. Also, whether or not they leave their feet. And then finally, if the person that is getting hit is defenseless. Well, guess what? Right there, going for the ball, totally a defenseless receiver.
Well, so
URA left his feet, hit him helmet to helmet. That's about as blatant as it gets.
So we were watching the replay there. He leaves his feet. He does not make a direct helmet-to-helmet contact. He hits his shoulder to Jones, just viciously gets dumped to the ground. And the big thing is about the defense, which Peoples-Jones was. And Peoples-Jones was cutting across the field at the 44 and leaping into the air. He hits him right on kind of the face mask shoulder area.
I am shocked.
They say that it was not enough of a head-to-head hit there.
I'm absolutely shocked right now. I cannot believe that. Whether or not there's actual direct head-to-head header there, and he left his feet, hit a defenseless receiver in the head. That was that is absolutely inexcusable. We just saw earlier today a Ohio State player, Nebraska, for a far lesser hit than that one. Not a football play. That Aruare right there.
Is that it's really hard to know what is targeting, and that's the big issue. I mean, it almost feels like they just throw at a dartboard and decide those calls. 2nd and 10, Patterson at the 36. Comes right away, he rolls out to his right. Got a man open, he finds Evans over on the sidelines, or actually Peoples-Jones it is. Caught at the, that's a gain of 5, and it'll set up 3rd and medium. I mean, the targeting calls this year are a lot like the catch rule. I mean, convince me either way.
That one right there, I thought targeting call doesn't get more blatant, more obvious. So if that, I'm just as lost as you are.
So 3rd and 5. Now they mark it at the 3rd and 3. Patterson has a back to his right, and now a quick timeout is taken. Looked like Harbaugh didn't like that alignment. This has been a really discombobulated game from really both coaching staffs. A lot of confusion with players not knowing where they needed to be. All 3 timeouts, and then before they want them late in the half.
Definitely, and that's something a lot of fans make fun of James Franklin for. He always seems to be, confused on the sidelines, calling timeouts when he doesn't need them, but just as bad here. So, Ben Harbaugh, Shea Patterson burned one himself on that 4th down play. Didn't like what he saw, but it's tough to see. The crowd noise hasn't been particularly a problem today. I don't think the crowd hasn't been necessarily as loud as I've ever heard it. You wouldn't think that's the problem. I don't know what could be the issue here for both teams.
So it is over. Still 3rd and 3. Michigan now 5 for 11 on 3rd downs. For reference, Penn State 1 for 8. In the 3rd quarter, Michigan still leading the Nittany Lions 14-0. Across the formation, Patterson has Higdon to his right. It's really the same play they were planning to run, and they do give some room. He's at the fit back to the 40, and he's dropped at the 38-yard line after a pickup of about 20 yards on that 3rd down.
That was just an absolutely excellent job by the offensive line. A huge hole opened up there for Cruft's side of the line. They didn't get touched until he was about 5 or 10 yards downfield. Mike making that big play there. Absolutely great job.
So Michigan goes directly for the next 1st and 10 play. They give it off to Evans. He's got a little bit of room, and he goes 5, a gain of 3. And this is the territory now where Michigan State and Wisconsin really started to just kind of give up, and Michigan had their way with them. We'll see if Penn State continues to fight.
You'd think they would. It's still they've had some this year, but they've always played hard. They play tight games. You'd think they would have some fight in them here.
2nd and now from the 35, Patterson with Evans behind him, and he's got a tight end to his right, and they are going to give it to Evans, and he swallowed up a mix. The crowd continues to be a little befuddled because we're now up to 39 rushes to 14 passes in this game. Michigan just having a little trouble finishing these drives, and some of those plays where Penn State's just had the ability to tee off on a lot of.
Into this game, Michigan needed to run the ball to be successful behind the chains and be forced into passing, because we know how good Penn State's pass rush has been. Well, themselves into these situations by not passing earlier.
Patterson drops back. He's got Evans wide open, and he hits him. He's at the 30, 25-20. He's down the sideline, 15, bounce, and he's all the way down to the 11-yard line. A huge buzz was wide open. Patterson, an easy little throw, and then Evans was off to the races. Finally pushed out of bounds there by
break there for Michigan. That didn't look like any kind of incredible play design. Just no one decided to go the back backfield.
And now they are going to have Patterson keep it himself. He runs forward to about the 8-yard line. Dropped after a gain of 3. Micah Parsons on the tackle.
And there again, Shea Patterson kind of running in between the tackles there, lowered his shoulder into a hit, looking a little bit more aggressive here.
Yeah, well, this is the part of the season where you can really start to take some chances. 2nd and 5 upcoming for the, or I guess they mark it for 2nd and 6 after a 4-yard gain. Patterson in the shotgun. He's got Higdon to his left, only one wide receiver, and it's their blocking receiver. Patterson is going to throw it. He's got Gentry in the end zone. Caught! Touchdown, Michigan!
Beautiful job right there, going with the play action and knowing that Penn State's sitting on the run aggressively pretty much every time, and no one's going to stop Zach Gentry when he's got a half step on you. Just throw. Shea Patterson just put that one up where only a 6'8" guy could catch it, and that's an easy pitch and catch right there.
13-play, 90-yard drive lasting 7 minutes and 5 seconds. Didn't even need the help from the targeting there. And now Nordine will come out for the extra point to put Michigan up 3 full touchdowns. Snap out, hold is good, the kick is up. And so Michigan State 21-0 with 56 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter, taking a stranglehold on this game as the sun begins to set. Crisp fall evening in Ann Arbor.
Beautiful job there by the Michigan offense. Overall, just stellar drive there. You mentioned it, that they were getting 2. They needed to mix in the pass. Well, right there, they passed it plenty. I think Shea Patterson threw the ball 5 times there on the. Still not even quite half of the plays, but still just enough to give this Michigan attack ability, kept that Penn State defense on their heels, and definitely paid off with big plays to Evans, the touchdown to Zach Gentry.
Well, the one thing that is interception is really a factor in this game. Michigan now up to 30 minutes and 37 seconds time of possession. Penn State 13 minutes, 27 seconds. And, you know, we talked, it's not so much you break the well, it's just this defense may just be dog tired.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen it time and time again. This Michigan offensive line just gets better every single week, and they just defensive fronts. They just keep looking better. It's amazing.
Moody, high kick, caught at the 8, and I guess it was fair caught. KJ Handler didn't think that was the case. Stunned, started his run, and then immediately stopped as the whistles blew.
Now, he looked like he was ready
I guess, was there a timeout taken?
Or bizarre.
Having a conversation here. I guess there was just a fair catch, I think. They have the penalty flag icon on the video screen, but we didn't see any flags.
There's a flag maybe back near around midfield, which maybe they're going to say it's offsides on Michigan.
So it was a fair catch. Ball to be placed on the 25, but then an offsides penalty enforced on Ben Mason. So the ball will be dropped down on the Penn State 30, and that's where the Nittany Lions will take over. Really, Penn State to get points on this drive. Not much time in this game, especially with the way Michigan the clock.
And they're showing replay. Handler was pointing.
Yeah.
But the hand never went above his shoulders.
McSorley takes the snap. He's going to run it. He's actually got some room. He's at the 35 to the 40, and he's out to the 48-yard line. Hit hard. That's a nice 18-yard run. Lavert Hill on the tackle. Finally with some room, and he string together a nice little run there. It gets Penn State to 110, 40 seconds to go.
Michigan wasn't going to contain him completely this entire game. He's just too good of a player to break loose at least once.
Correction, that's Tommy Stevens on rush. He stays in the game as a quarterback, and now he's going to drop back to throw. He's going to run it again, but now he rolls up, decides to throw. It's intercepted! Michigan picks it off at the 45. They're at the 40, 35, 30, 25 line, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Michigan! Pick 6! Brandon Watson. 9 seconds to go in the third quarter. Steve on the run makes a terrible decision and takes it to the house.
That pass looked like it was intended for Brandon Watson.
Yeah.
All the way. I threw it directly to his chest. He was just sitting there in zone coverage. There wasn't a Penn State receiver around. And now Brandon Watson's got his second. Is that his second pick 6, actually, of the season?
Yes, it is, yeah. I think they're going to review it, perhaps, about whether he went out of bounds down the side.
Definitely a couple of close calls there.
Stevens was dropping back, and he decided to roll out after the pressure came. He had a man down the field, but that ball was 20 yards underthrown if he was intending it for that guy. Now we're watching the replay. There's a couple close ones right around the 10 or 15 yard line. It looks clean to me. Let's take a look. It's really only one close one. Now we've got the pylon cam. I don't know.
There's not a clear view of it. And I would say at first glance there, and really the pylon cam is the only one where there's any way to there's a better angle we've got.
I think so. We'll take a look when they break the replay. The referee has put the headset on and he's still talking.
That one is so close to call, I feel like you just got to go with what was ruled on the field. And no camera angle was perfect there either. And the pylon cam, any other angles where I just angled a little too far where you don't have a clear shot. You need a bird's eye view of that one. There really is none.
Ruling on the field is confirmed, and it is a touchdown. So Michigan will now kick the extra point to go up 28-0. There was 2 receivers on that play. One, a short crossing route, but the ball wasn't in the area of him. And there was a receiver open down the field on the sideline. But if he was the guy, that ball was 20 yards underthrown. I mean, it looked like he threw it to Brandon Watson. I don't know what to say about that.
I don't think there's any other explanation.
It's marked as a 62-yard pick 6. Threads the extra point through. So with 9 seconds to go, 8-0 lead over Penn State.
And that one, really, if Michigan didn't have this one locked up after the drive, you would think that one right there has got to break the back of this Penn State team. That's a absolutely gut-punching blow.
Watching it on replay, it does appear that Stevens was looking at the man down the field, but he was throwing on the run and didn't have nearly the arm strength he needed to get that throw there accurately, and Watson takes it down the sideline for a touchdown. So 9 seconds to go in this third quarter. Moody puts the ball down on the tee in this trick. He's pumping everybody up. Moody steps back to his U26. He stands on the hash mark, aces in the middle of the field, and that's where he'll run up and boot it away. Hamler back deep as usual. And Moody, a line drive kick, and that's a boomer into the end zone. It bounces there and is down for a touchback. So Penn State will take it from the 25.
At this point now, I'm starting to wonder what the strategy, the game plan for the rest of this game is for. Because Penn State had the game well in hand for most of the second half, yet they never took their foot off the gas. And I assure you, Harbaugh and Don Brown, they remember. And I don't know if they're going to let up at all in this fourth quarter.
Definitely a a lot of bad blood between these two sides. 1st and 10 for the Nittany Lions from the 25. He's in trouble, rolling out, and he's going to be brought down from behind after a gain of just Quiddy Pay. And that will end the final play.
Not only were there problems in that game, but even leading up to this one here, pregame comments made by James Franklin to the media, kept harping on the fact that Michigan offensive line and their defensive backs, he says every play they get away with holding, with grabbing guys, which is really, I don't know, it's not something I'm a bit biased, but I don't see that out of either side of for this Michigan team. But you gotta know, as much as this team has been focused on revenge, as kind of making teams that have wronged them pay, they heard those comments. They know the things James Franklin said. You gotta imagine that's fueling them right now.
I just sat down and looked up. Your blimp is stadium right now. This game on ABC on television, the nationally televised ABC at 3:30 afternoon game. Certainly, all the talk about the quote-unquote revenge tour. They beat Wisconsin by 25 points, Michigan State by 14, and now leading by 28 over Penn State. When this one finishes up, the last stop in Columbus, thanks.
It gives me chills just to think about right now. Especially count chickens before they're hatched, but this continues to struggle, keeps looking better and better every week, and even points of this team that we thought were weaknesses have been shorn up, in my opinion. Pass protection, again, we thought that this was going to be a big test for them today. There has not been even a single issue so far here. The defensive tackles were a weak point of the defense coming into the season. Well, Michigan's now got a solid rotation of 4 guys who are all, they all do a good job. They've all got their own specialty, but definitely no one of them, or not one of them, is quite the player that Maurice Hurst was, but collectively they do a terrific job. And the safeties for Michigan, Josh Metellus, Tyree Cannell, have been absolutely stellar. Metellus, a guy who was kind of a scapegoat for this the last couple of years, and he looks like one of the strongest players on this defense right now.
Mr. Brightside echoes from the stadium. A crowd that is in euphoria right now as Michigan leads a top 15 opponent by 4 touchdowns at the start of the 4th quarter. Penn State 6-2 entering this contest, 3-2 in the Big Ten, number 12 in S&P Plus, number 22 offense. This is the team that they have just been brutalized today by Michigan.
So that has been perfect today. Maybe his really has not been able to do anything. You'd think the issues here for him go far beyond what was wrong with his aim.
Tommy Stevens looks like he's checked back into the game as a quarterback for Penn State. Man to his left, Sanders, and he's going to keep it himself. Stevens spinning out of tackles. He'll be dropped at the 24-yard line. Looked like Dwell knows on the tackle. Stevens still out there despite the pick 6. They brought McSorley back in for the first play of this drive. Now they've switched back to Stevens. A timeout. The shotgun, 3rd and 5 from the 30-yard line. The crying 14:30 to go in the game.
It's strange. Frank, it wasn't 100%. He would not hesitate to put in Stevens, but this deep into the game, I'm surprised that they're making the switch now.
And now Stevens drops back. He's in trouble, has to roll around. He's going to try to scamper for the first down. He's going to be brought down from behind and then planted as he was falling down. Looked like Bush got him from behind, and Josh Metellus finished off the tackle. And it'll be another punt update. We saw on the TV next to us that Trace McSorley is down on the sideline running sprints to try to test out that knee. And out comes Gillikin for yet another punt in this game.
It's been a few times here that, whether it's McSorley or Stevens, that the Penn State break just simply ran down from behind. Those two are pretty great athletes to be caught from behind by defensive linemen.
Gillikin stands at his own 7, punts a huge line drive kick. Peoples-Jones backing up at the 21. He looks for a lane. He's going to 30, then going to try to reverse across the field. He's got some room. He's at the 40. He makes another man miss, and he's out to the 47-yard line. The electrifying punt returner with the receiving touchdown already today. Peoples-Jones takes it to the 47, the sophomore from Cass Tech in Detroit. He's been a special player for Michigan this year, now up to 7 receiving touchdowns on the year. He has a punt return touchdown, and among his other punt returns, all-around contributor.
When I talked about the weaknesses of this team coming into the year improving, I didn't even mention the fact that receivers were a big question mark for this team. A lot of people were down on Donovan Peoples-Jones and really the entire freshman class after that down performance last year, but they've been absolutely stellar so far this year. 7 receiving touchdowns now so far for Donovan Peoples-Jones, and he just absolutely makes magic happen on every punt return, seemingly.
We just got the announced attendance, 111,047, packed into Michigan Stadium here today. Wolverines entered this game 7-1, 5-0 in the Big Ten, and number 5 in the college football playoff rankings. An immediate chance to move up if Alabama beats LSU tonight. Notre Dame with a tough trap game in Northwestern. We saw Michigan struggle against Northwestern in Ryan Field earlier this year. That's not an easy game for the Irish.
Definitely. Northwestern, it doesn't really seem to matter who they play. They play them tight, they play them hard. It's incredible that they don't have more wins.
Well, it's a team that's gotten a lot better. They look shaky early in the year, lost games to Duke, game against Michigan. Straight wins now in the Cats play. And if Purdue can in fact beat Iowa, Northwestern will be in the driver's seat to face either Michigan or Ohio State in Indianapolis on the Sun Championship game. Speaking of big games, next week Ohio State plays Michigan State. That's huge because Ohio State has to win that game to have a shot to make the Big Ten title game. They cannot afford another loss. And MSU, they got trucked by Michigan, but credit the Spartans. They've been very resilient, ripped off 2 straight wins, heading into that game, getting the rookie back healthy. They're starting to play with some more confidence, and that's a tough defense.
Definitely, and when you look at how Ohio State has struggled so far this year, it's been on the ground. You would think that as stout defense is, that Ohio State is going to struggle running the ball. They'll be forced into becoming a one-dimensional team, only passing the ball like they did against Purdue. And now, granted, we know Michigan State's secondary is not the best. Maybe that Ohio State's favorite. But looking at that Purdue game, Ohio State just looked so one-dimensional, and it really hurt them. Maybe MSU would be able to overcome their struggles in the pass defense and be able to make Ohio State pay.
So both teams have now broken the huddle as the media timeout to begin this next drive for Michigan breaks. Wolverines up 28-0, 13-17 to go. You got to think Michigan is going to show no mercy and be motivated to pour it on after what happened last year in Happy Valley, the 40-plus points given up to the Nittany Lions in that one. Patterson, the play action, he's got a man open down the field. He's going to just throw underneath and running to the 48-yard line was Karan Higdon. He had Nico Collins, it looked like, down the field.
And I believe that was Devin Eubanks over near the left sideline. It seems like about every play.
They ran that play against MSU 2 weeks ago, and they hit Eubanks last time, but this time not finding him, just dumping it to Higdon for 5 yards. Sets up 2nd and 5 from the 48. Tariq Black has now come back out onto the field. They've got Higdon behind Patterson in the pistol, and they are going to do the read option. Patterson keeps it, and he's going to dive forward to the 41-yard line. Black has pretty much just been a blocking receiver in this game and in the one snap he played 2 weeks ago against MSU, same story.
I'm not surprised that Michigan doesn't want to test him too much here. But if he's on the field, you got to think he's good to go. At some point, to use him.
It feels like if he's good enough, healthy enough to block a guy, he'd be healthy enough to run a route, but you never know what's going on down on the field. Patterson going to do yet another play-action pass. Pressure comes from the side. He's touchdown! Tariq Black in the end zone! Left corner. And that is a touchdown. It looks like there is a hold on Michigan or a roughing the passer. Michigan players are just standing around, and it is going to be a hold on Michigan. There was pressure coming off the edge, and Juwan Bushell-Beatty was in trouble, and it looked like he had to wrestle his guy down to the ground, which wipes a touchdown off the board, but still nice to see Black down the field. Or actually, it looked like Gentry. Bushell-Beatty lost his man, and Gentry had to try to pick him up. And Gentry ended up hard on the ground with the flag right next to him. Tough result for the Wolverines, but still good to see Black running like that.
Definitely looked 100% healthy on that one. It just blew by the corner and made a pretty tough catch there. Kept his feet in bounds. I wonder if they're going to maybe take a shot at him again here.
1st and 20 now from the 49-yard line. They're going to hand it off. There's some running room. It's Evans. He's at the 40. He's going to cut up the field. He's got blockers. He's at the 30. He's still going, and he's down to the 20-yard line. And you're starting to get shades of that Wisconsin and the Michigan State game, a 31-yard rush where Michigan has just beaten its opponent into submission. And now knocking on the door in the red zone. Ball will be spotted on the 19-yard line. 1st and 10 Wolverines, 11:33 to go in the 4th quarter, up 28 points.
Here it is. They're in the red zone. Can they convert? They've had some success here today getting it done in the red zone, but it's still been a
interesting wide receiver alignment. It's Tariq Black and Ronnie Bell. They're going to have Patterson keep it. He goes around him, and he's got some. Patterson down to the 6-yard line. Bell and Black were both blockers on the left side of the field. Patterson held it himself forward down to about the 6 or 7, depending on where they spot it. There is an injured player down on the field for the Nittany Lions. They've called a media timeout for him to get assistance.
It's starting to look like Shea Patterson's getting some swagger. I juked out one guy at the line. And again, took another hit, didn't shot there, and then got up and started jawing with the Penn State defensive player.
Looked like Ellis Brooks, linebacker, is the one who brought as he was getting close to the goal line. They bring Black off the field, as do they bring Ronnie Bell off. Instead inserting Oliver Martin, who's also been a bit of a blocking receiver this year. Looks like Eubanks also out there. 1st and goal from the 6, trying to go up 35 points. 1st and goal, 10:50 remaining in this one. It's a pistol formation, Ben Mason in the backfield. Behind. They are going to give it to him. Mason had some room, and then he ran right into the line. That's a good, strong push. But then Michigan continues to push forward, and Mason grinding those legs. He was stopped at the 5, and then Mason continues to push, and Ben Bredesen among the blockers who forward to the 4-yard line for a gain of 2, 2nd and goal.
And that's why Michigan needs to get Ben Mason the ball more often. Just never quits. Right there, he had his back to the end zone and was still able to push forward. Backpedaling and driving through guys, that is just something you don't normally see.
Tariq Black back onto the field, Patterson under center with Higdon in the backfield for 2nd and goal from the 4. They're just going to give it to Higdon. He guns right up the middle, gets stuffed at the 1. No, they're just going to say he's in. Touchdown, Michigan. Looked like he had got it, and then the referee on the far end signals touchdown, and Michigan now goes up 5 touchdowns.
Tariq Black was all alone to the right of Shea Patterson there. Could have been maybe an opportunity for a goal line fade. Obviously not the most effective or efficient play, but still, Tariq Black seems like a pretty formative decoy out there, still able to draw attention.
And now Nordine comes on for the extra point. He puts it through. 9:49 to go here in the fourth quarter. Goes up 35-0 over Penn State. We mentioned last year's game when the Nittany Lions defeated Michigan 13. The big controversy in that one was the decision of Penn State to continue to run real plays on those last couple plays of the game.
Big development here in the stadium. There was a petition to get the song Mo Bamba by, now I'm forgetting the artist. At this point, Wes, what is it? What's the artist for Mo Bamba? Shaq Wes.
Yeah.
A petition was floating around trying to get the song played in the stadium, and I looked ecstatic that it was going on. Lots of dancing, lots of jumping around.
Student section excited too. Now we got Sweet Caroline going.
Sweet Caroline to equal out the Mo Bamba. It seems like a pretty a fair trade-off right there.
Texas has taken a 31 West Virginia late in the third quarter. Kentucky hanging around, down 14 pretty late. Iowa has now surged ahead to take the third in the fourth quarter. Boston College up 7 over Virginia Tech. Missouri up 18 over Florida. Big upset going down in the SEC East. Utah down by State. 5 games here in this 3:30 time slot. As the crowd sings Sweet Caroline emphatically, Michigan will come out and kick the kickoff.
Now the phone flashlights are starting to come out.
Total yardage in this one, 378 to 116. An absolute destruction. And now all of the lights comes on.
Yeah, what a beautiful sight here. It's great to see this Michigan Stadium just have so much fun watching football. It's been a bit of a rare sight, maybe in the past decade here for Michigan football. But I mean, this crowd, this atmosphere, it's just absolutely amazing to see.
You know, the truth is that I just keep contrasting this experience here today with our emotions coming out of South Bend in week 1. That car ride back.
Absolutely. And no one was a bigger doubter than yours truly. I could not have been more down on this Michigan team. To see this crowd, to see this team, it's absolutely spectacular. Just a great testament to this coaching staff.
So now Moody is going to kick it away. Kick going to be taken by Hamler from the 4. He's got a chance to do some damage running it out, and instead he is wrapped up at the line. Nothing going well for Penn State. They'll mark it at the 17, and that's where Penn State will take over. Just trying to get a dignity drive perhaps going.
They can try. I still firmly believe that every single person on this Michigan team will allow them even a single thing here today.
So out they come, trying to see who it is in at quarterback. Sorley and Stevens look quite similar. Looks like it's it looks like it's McSorley. From the 17, he takes the snap and he drops back. He's going to throw, and it's intercepted! Taken away at the 25, down the the hands of David Long, who runs it down the sideline to the 11-yard line, and Michigan will have great field position and a chance to pour it on some more. A bad pass that was a little behind Fryermuth. It went off his hands and into the arms of David Long, who was not covering him. Long was 5 yards behind him, but found the ball in his lap and then went right down the sideline.
You just see this Michigan sideline right now, jumping around, celebrating. They're not acting like it's a 35-0 game right now.
So out comes this Michigan offense. And look who it is, Dylan McCaffrey. McCaffrey is going to hand it off to Evans, who goes right up the middle, getting pushed forward down to the 9-yard line. You know, Michigan is excited like it's a close game, but they're playing the players like it's a blowout. Aiden Hutchinson was in on that last defensive snap, and now McCaffrey is the quarterback. Looks like it's his game for the rest of the day because Patterson, no sign of him on the sideline in terms of coming back into this one.
That might be the right call because on these read options here, Shea Patterson aggressive, running through the middle of the field, shoulder into hits. That's maybe a little.
McCaffrey is going to give it off to Evans once again. He runs right into the pile at the 8-yard line, and he'll set up 3rd and about 6. Michigan opens it up and lets McCaffrey throw it all. The redshirt freshman McCaffrey from Castle Rock, Colorado, Valor Christian High School, 6'5", 217. He brings McCune from the right side to the left. He's going to keep it himself. He's towards the goal line. Just out of bounds at the 1-yard line. That'll be a first down for McCaffrey, but not a touchdown. He kept the ball and then ran it to the right side, but was just unable to punch it in.
And wise decision right there. A lot of times you'll see guys extend the ball, go for broke, try to get the pile on there, but then controversial plays. At this point, it wouldn't be too damaging to Michigan. You run the risk of stretching out and then fumbling it into the end zone for a touchback. Smart, he knew he had the first down, just decided to hold on to that one and live for the next set of downs.
Michigan gets up from the 1-yard line, I formation. They give it off. Chris Evans, he's in. 7:44 to go in the 4th quarter. That is a Michigan touchdown. Chris Evans punches it in. And with that, the Wolverines now up 6 touchdowns over Penn State, just pouring it on the Nittany Lions.
The revenge tour marches on.
So now out comes extra point. Hart, the holder, Cheeseman, the snapper. Snap is out. Hart puts it down, and Nordine's kick is good. Takes a 42-0 lead with 7:44 to go in the game. James Franklin just stunned on the sidelines. And the crowd is very, very loud. It's completely set here in Ann Arbor. It's the last late sunset of the year. With the time change tomorrow, it'll be getting darker a whole lot earlier in Michigan.
Now, a little bit of intel coming in from a WCBN alumni correspondent, Dalton Pataki. When you really think, in the last 4 games Michigan has played, Hornibrook has had the best game. I mean, granted, most of his numbers came in garbage time after Paul Christ had kind of waved the white flag and Michigan had given up on that game, but nonetheless, he's had the best numbers against this team by far. And I pointed it out again, Obama's sideline, the players just absolutely are going nuts for it. It's great to see how much fun these guys are having playing this game. It's absolutely invigorating.
Michigan 42, Penn State 0. Michigan has now rushed for 200 yards. They have broken the will of Penn State. Purdue still trailing 36-35, but with 30 seconds to go in the game, they are on the Iowa 16-yard line. They'll have a chance and beat the Hawkeyes and really clear the path for the Northwestern Wildcats to make the Big Ten championship game. You know, if Michigan now has the best offensive line in the Big Ten, there's a lot of good units out there, Wisconsin included, but I mean, this is not a bad defense. This is a top 20, or actually I think it's 21 defense, and Michigan has just beaten them into the ground. Yards, and this Michigan defense entered the game at #1 in the country. They're 116 yards allowed. As you mentioned, Lewerke 5 for 25 2 weeks ago for MSU. Today, McSorley 5 for 13 with an interception. Tommy Stevens 0 for 1 with an interception. 2 takeaways for the Michigan defense, no points allowed. Just absolute dominance in Ann Arbor. This might be the best game this Michigan team has played under Jim Harbaugh, at least given opponent status and just the total domination. I mean, I thought that last week against MSU, but this is another level.
Definitely, there's just something different about this Michigan team. And that was a special team. They went along with really were. This team just has another gear in it.
So Moody is going to do yet another kickoff. He's been busy today with all the scoring Michigan's been doing. This is his 7th kickoff of the game, and he into the end zone for a touchback. No chance for Hamler to run it out. I don't even know if Penn State's going to try to do here. They have 33 rushing yards on 22 attempts, and their quarterbacks have combined for 5 for 14. The only reason their yardage has been even in the ball, good passing plays that got him 83 yards on 5 catches. Otherwise, this has just been a death trap.
There's really no option, no good option, I should say, against this. I honestly have no idea. You got to think they're going to have to go through the air, though, if they want to get any points on the board to remain dignity.
So out right into the line, Miles Sanders into the back of his blockers, and he loses a half yard. The student section was just chanting, "We are Penn State." Second and 10 from the 25 after that one goes for no gain. McSorley is going to keep it himself. He's got a lot of running room. He's out to the 35, and then he's brought down hard at the 41. You know, he's had a couple good rushes in this game in between the onslaught of sacks. And then actually, again, it was Stevens.
It's hard to tell the difference.
Yeah. Stevens is the more natural rusher. Out to the 41-yard line. That's a nice little solid run there. Defense. One of their better plays of the game. Stevens drops back to throw. He's into the flat. A running back who's got some room, and he's out to the 49-yard line. 2. I'm not sure we have that number on our spotting board. I'm going to try to find a roster about that one. Penn State digging into their depth chart on some of these plays. It's like 32, Journey Brown. So that's 2nd and 1, and they're going to give it to Brown again. He's going to try to outrun the Michigan defense. He's got some room and pushed out at the 42-yard line. Penn State finally consistency as Michigan perhaps taking the foot off the gas a bit. It's not the full first team deep. Thomas and Brandon Watson is the corners. Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive line. Carlo Kemp next to him. Quiddy Pay on the other side.
That was actually well covered by the defense. Metellus had that edge and juked out of his shoes by Brown there. That was a heck of a move to fake going up the middle and then juke around to the outside.
First and 10, Stevens in trouble. Gotta get him! Sacked at the 49-yard line by Khalid Hudson.
And now that's the second we've seen a Michigan defensive player bust out the home run. Winovich did that after that last interception there by David Long, and now
a pure bull rush there from Hudson around toast Will Fries and bringing down Stevens for a big loss. It is now 2nd and 8-yard line. And Stevens is going to through the defensive line a little bit, and then he's out to the 46-yard line. That's a pickup of 4, but it's still a 3rd and long as the clock now ticks. 5 minutes to go. Michigan has Donovan Jeter out there.
Here we go again, obvious passing situation. You gotta imagine Don Brown's dialing up a blitz here.
They bring in Pay on. A lot of movement there. Looked like Dwum, perhaps a false start. We'll just see which way.
I think that one was on Dwum for
Michigan. Ryan Bates, the left tackle, might have drawn him off. They are going to call an offsides on Dwum for. So it'll make it a bit more manageable. 3rd and 9 instead of 3rd and 14. 31 instead.
Maybe a little too over-aggressive on that one. Wanting to get to the 2.
Well, this is a pretty potent blitz with Hutchinson, the talented freshman from Dearborn, Quiddy Pay, Dwum for, and then of course Josh Uche on the right side. 3rd and 9. Stevens talking to his guys at the line, then he steps back. Gets ready. And here he goes, drops back to throw. He's got some time, throws over the middle complete, but it's not going to be enough for a first down. Good coverage there on Pat Freiermuth by Josh Metellus. And 2 from the 34.5-yard line. Or excuse me. And Penn State is going to go for it. This could be a big play in terms of Michigan trying to cement the shutout. 4th and 2. Stevens is going to look at his sideline for the call. 3:50 to go in this game.
Penn State has 4, but they only have 3 wide receivers on the field. Maybe they're trying to spread it out so they can run up the middle.
And now Michigan is going to take a timeout. They're going to burn their second timeout about this play with 3:35 to go in the 4th quarter. Michigan still leading the Nittany Lions 42-0. A lot of people during the week that questioned the 12 points Wolverines. It was too generous to the Nittany Lions.
Going into that Wisconsin game. And I understand though completely. Michigan has struggled in big games in recent history, but the team just has something different about it.
Yeah, there was 12 season, obviously. This brutal 3-game stretch of the schedule. Right now, Michigan on pace to beat those 3 teams by a combined 81 points. Wisconsin, MSU, and Penn State.
The bye week helped.
The bye week helped.
Very, very advantageously placed bye week for certain. But if you had told me before this season, or even immediately after that Notre Dame game, that Michigan would come out of that stretch with the numbers you just said, there's not a chance in the world I would believe you. And I would kind of wondering, there's a lot of talking going on both sides, huge huddles for both teams here. Penn State, during crunch time situations, which I guess this is one, trying to get some points on the board, have had some pretty head-scratching play calls.
Yeah.
To say the least. So I'm very curious to see what James framing up right now.
Crowd still pretty strong. The top of the student second out as the party will begin in Ann Arbor. To be said about the coaching staff this year, how much better this team has been able to get week by defensive improvement, limiting some of the errors that were made in Notre Dame. And of course, the offensive line just a total 180, given that first game with Runyon and Bushelmeedy belly down on the ground on every play. This has just been an incredible coaching job and improvement from Jim Harbaugh, and most of all, Ed Warren.
Definitely. And I think I've been wondering, is this offensive line real? I feel like this has to cement that it is, for sure. Penn State has absolutely one of the best men. They were able to shut it down completely pretty much this entire game.
So out they come of the huddle, 4th and 2, 3:35 to go in the fourth quarter. Stevens loading the line. I think they're going to dare Stevens to throw it, as Penn State does have 4 wideouts, but Michigan's got 4 down linemen, actually 5 down linemen, and then Devin Bush standing over the line. Now they bring Glasgow, it looks like, right over, and now they bring the tight end into the middle. A lot of men at the line. Stevens drops back. Pressure comes. He has to spin away. He's going to try to run for it. Throws it down the sideline. He's got him in. Did he get the foot down? Yes, he did. What a catch.
What great work by Stevens to evade the pass rush there. I think it was Dunthorpe who came right through the middle of the line. It looked like he was untouched. Stevens was able to spin away, though, and make a heck of a play, running to his left, having to throw across his body. That's a tough play.
A tremendous toe tap, too, and now Michigan takes a timeout perhaps to review it, or maybe it was buzzed down. It sure looked like he got the feet in.
It looked like he might have juggled it as he was... it looked like a pretty secure catch right there.
They're talking with the Michigan sideline about review. Let's see. Referee's going to speak to us here in a second. Michigan is challenging it. I don't think it's going to be overturned. That looked like a catch to me. Worth noting that Jim Harbaugh looks like he's still wearing sunglasses on the sideline. Yeah, the question would be about juggling. That would be, it looks pretty clear he got the foot down. Let's take a look on another replay. The catch was made there by Castro Fields. He gets that back foot down, but does the ball move? It looks like a catch to me.
Yeah, it looks like he catches it with his hands and then brings it to his chest and pins it against his chest with just the one hand. The right hand does come off the ball, but the ball is very tightly secured to his chest there. So I don't think it ever actually moves.
Doesn't look like it. Now we're going to get the official word. Yeah, they confirm the ruling, which is the right call. So Penn State will get it 1st and 10 from the Michigan 15, trying to get a dignity score. This happened early in the season against Western Michigan, where Michigan was up 49-0, and Western kicked a field goal late to prevent the shutout. Michigan's going to have to try and slam the door here, and Penn State goes for a sad field goal. Looks like Jim Harbaugh's got opaque glasses on or something. Got a dark tip to them. They're not quite sunglasses. So out they come from the timeout. Tommy Stevens still out there.
Maybe he needs new transition lenses.
Stevens 3 for 4 so far in this game, but the one incompletion was a pick 6. And Stevens is going to keep it himself. He runs to the side. He's tracked down quickly from behind by Kalik Hudson. And Brandon Watson, joint tackle from behind. Clock now is remaining. This is Penn State's only shot to get.
Well, you would think State's here no matter what.
If they kick a field goal, but
it's what we've seen teams do it before.
Yeah.
Just go for the 3 points. Just needing something.
Stevens in the shotgun, and he is going to keep it himself. He's got a little room, but he's not going to get the first down. He's going to be dropped at the 8-yard line after a gain of 4. 3rd and 3 upcoming. Penn State inching closer to 200 yards in this game. 10 short of 400. Third and 3, 2:15 remaining. Stevens in the shotgun. Man to his right, 3 wide receivers. Actually 4, 3 on the right side, 1 on the left. And he's going to keep it himself. He's got some room. He's at the 5, and he's in. Touchdown, Penn State. And the Nittany Lions salvage things with a late touchdown, a nice 8-yard keeper from Tommy Stevens, and a garbage time score for the Nittany Lions.
Tough one right there for the Michigan defense. They were looking for that run up the middle all the way. Everyone bid on that fake to Sanders, and clear lane to the end zone for Stevens. A touchdown.
Well, this is not the first team defense for Michigan. They've suffered on still some inexperience in reading those plays, and now the extra point is put right through there by the kicker Petrino. So 42-7 the score with 1 minute and 59 seconds to go. Penn State 11 play 75-yard drive minutes. Probably the only good thing they can take out of this game is that nice little ending.
With that score there, interestingly enough, that's what's setting fans to the exits, which I guess never be the shutout. Must have been. But yeah, kind of a mass exodus going on here now. And as the band plays, hail to the victors here.
Well, you got to think it'll just be a few run plays after Michigan, unless they decide to answer some of what happened last year with the taste of their own medicine. But you don't think they have much incentive to do that.
Who knows? James Franklin, he might even try to burn them right now. Just to be difficult.
And remaining in this game, and the kickoff is away. Bounds. I guess it's caught by Avery Thomas. That was going to go out of bounds for a fair catch was called. So the ball will be placed on the 25 as Thomas caught it as like the 11-yard line. A little strange play there.
Yeah, a little bit mixed up there by Avery Thomas. Made the wrong choice there, but that doesn't contain really anything.
A little hard to gripe in this situation. The dust plays over the speakers. Michigan is about to be 1 win away from their second undefeated home schedule in 3 years. They completed the undefeated home schedule in 2016 as well. McCaffrey comes out for Michigan. First 25. He's got True Wilson back to his left. And they are just going to have McCaffrey keep it, and he's going to run forward for about 7 yards out to the 32. And clock continues to roll at 1:50. Michigan in no hurry.
Yeah, they're taking their time, huddling up. It looks like this Michigan team's happy to walk away with the 42-7.
Demonstrate he has dignity than James Franklin. 2nd and 3 from the 32. They're going to give it off to True Wilson, and he picks up the from the offensive line to get him to the 36 or 37-yard line. The one thing this little drive will do is it is going to put Michigan over 400 yards in this game. 1st and 10 from the 37. Clock ticks to. It is the backup offensive line out there. At right tackle for the Wolverines, looks like Vistardis, Chuck Filiaga. There are 58 seconds remaining. The clock roll all the way down to 10 seconds. And look who it is, Brandon Peters. Play clock too. They're not. No, they do get the snap off, and he just gives it to True Wilson for no gain, and that'll. Because the 40-second play clock has been set, 35 seconds in the game. They don't have to run another play. The cheer from the big house as Michigan heads to midfield, as does the Penn State sideline. Your final score, Michigan 42, Penn State 7. a true dominating performance today.
And it was a dominating game to finish. No slow start there at all. They kept their foot on the pedal that entire game. That was absolutely stunning performance.
They just suffocating. Final yard in 3 to 186. Penn State drops to 6 and 3 in the Big Ten Conference. Michigan improves to 8-1, 6-0 in the Big Ten Conference. 8 straight wins for the Wolverines as the team rushes to the student section and begins to climb into the stands. Only one game left here at the Big House this year. In 2 weeks' time, next week is at Rutgers, which could get ugly. And then home to Indiana, and then the big one with Ohio State on November the 24th. That game?
Nothing other than this revenge tour just...
Yeah, it's been an impressive succession of They beat Wisconsin by 25, Michigan State by 14, and now Penn State. Your final score in this one, Michigan 42-7. Thompson and Grace Boyles in the first half. Nate Sorensen. You want to thank Dan in the studio, and also thank all of our listeners for 8.3 WCBN. Michigan State 7. With that, I'm Alex Drain. Good night, and go blue.